Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Star Trek Club. I'm Captain Logan. Look, it's Brandon Grimm.
Hello, everyone.
Who claims to be number one.
I'm number one.
Does he count as number one, or Adam?
I don't know about that.
You decide. And just because there's two of you, and I'm the captain wearing a captain uniform. And look, it's Adam Meredith.
I've been here longer than Adam, so.
Oh, is there a seniority thing? Is that how that works?
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's people on Voyager that outrank Kim that have been there like just as long as Kim has. I don't think that's exactly how that works.
That's true.
No, but I gave myself a field promotion.
Adam, your microphone sounds great.
Cool.
Thanks for getting a different microphone.
Yes.
Really appreciate that.
That's great. Okay, guys, tonight we are going to count down our top 5 favorite DS9 episodes. We did our 6 through 10 last week. We're going to do our 1 through 5 this time. Very excited about it. And then someday Brandon will watch DS9, and then he might come back years from now and let us know what his top 10 are.
I almost got started the other day, and then I got distracted.
We're also going to hear from, not from Sarah. She's not going to come on camera, but we'll figure out what her top 5 are as well. And we're going to spin the wheel right now. I didn't bring the wheel up. I forgot all about that. Whoa, what's that?
Oh, my goodness.
What is that?
That was my phone.
Who has ringtones anymore?
That wasn't a ringtone. It was I had set a 2-hour alarm
was it an alarm?
for sleeping, and I slept, and I
sleep
woke
through
up, and then
again.
I fell asleep again. I must have accidentally set the alarm again.
You want to hear?
That's happened before, people.
It has, yeah. But that's okay because at least Brandon's here. Okay, I'm gonna need a couple of seconds here, guys, because I've been having issues with this wheel. It doesn't like to keep everything on the thing. It's complicated. So let me just.
Is rebelling.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's got red jack in it.
It's got
Red
the wheel's
jack.
got red jack. Where is? Okay, let me just get the rest of these on here. So the way Wheel Decide works is weird. You can save a wheel, but it doesn't always save all of my entries. But what'll happen is when you click on one of the fields, it will show you. It will pop up some of the ones that are supposed to be on there that aren't currently on there.
Oh.
It's really weird, but it doesn't always remember all of them, so I wrote them down, but I just got to put the rest of them on there. So this is becoming a problem. I may need to get like a dedicated thing that's not in a website to do this down the road.
Let's make
They
a
kept
new
giving
wheel.
us that one episode over and over again.
Over again, yeah. This thing has been really reliable, Adam. But I just want to make sure that everybody's episodes get on here, at least get really close. I'm sure I'm going to end up with a couple of the same ones. Hey, real quick, has anybody, I mean, Brandon just said that he wanted to watch DS9, but just didn't get around to it. Adam, have you been watching any Star Trek lately, outside of what we've been doing here in Club?
I have been watching Next Generation, but I kind of stopped watching it. I need to get back into it.
What season
And
are you
now I'm on
right
an episode I don't like, so I guess I'll just skip it.
Which episode?
I'm on the one with the people that have no gender.
Oh, the androgynous species.
Yeah, that's not a great. The Outcast.
The Outcast.
The Outcast. That's not a good episode.
No.
The shuttle ride is the most awkward part of that episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got this wheel, I think, mostly put together. As always, guys, if you're watching live, and thanks so much for being here, if you would like to put a episode on the wheel for us to eventually wind up with and watch here during a meeting. We watch 2 episodes, assuming we have enough time. We usually get to 2. You can leave a super chat at any dollar amount, and that will entitle you to put an episode on the wheel. And you can also, in that super chat, you don't have to just put an episode title. You can also put up a topic for discussion, anything you want us to answer. You're certainly welcome to do that as well. Let's see if anybody is here live right now. Hi, folks. Tom just asked for Via V because he just will not stop putting Voyager episodes on the wheel. We actually just watched that the other day.
Is that the one where
It's
Tom Paris gets accused
odd.
of murder or whatever?
No, that's the one with his obsession
That's
with
X-Men.
working on Yes, with working on cars, and then that guy shows up. That alien shows up that has him helping him work on his ship, and then he ends up taking over Tom's body. It turns out that he's possessed by somebody, and then takes over Tom's body, and then it's not great. And so you spend most of the episode following this character that isn't Tom Paris with just somebody in his body.
That's right. I remember that one.
Your description of that episode
Yeah,
is not
I do
helping me
remember that
remember
one.
it.
Okay.
It's
But
not memorable
It's making me think of
at
the
all.
episode Alice.
Facto was the one I was thinking of, that he was accused of murdering that guy or whatever, and they put the guy's memories or whatever in him as punishment.
Yep.
His death memory. He had to relive it every 5 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's like Alice, except it doesn't just straight up rip off a Stephen King novel. Anyway, so here comes the wheel. Let's find out what the first episode is that we're going to watch today, and then we'll do a little bit of Standard Replicator. Here we go.
I'm so excited.
All right, and you just can't hide it. Today we're going to watch... Wait, why is Impact North still there? Today we're going to start with Take Me Out of the Holosuite, which is an episode that I like a lot, and that I know that Adam likes a lot. And I'm sure Brandon has never seen.
I don't know if
We watched it in Trek Club once.
I know we did. I just wasn't sure if you were there.
I was.
Yep. Cool. Well, we're
As
going to watch
I recall, it was a great episode.
that. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the better comedy episodes, I think. And one of the better Season 7 episodes, because Season 7's kind of dicey in DS9. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in it, but it's a little dicey. In my opinion. Okay. Well, let's do a little Standard Replicator. I went ahead and picked something. I'll let one of you guys do it next time.
Sure.
I have something in my head. It has to do with Star Trek. Let's see how fast you guys can get it. This should be a relatively easy one. And as always, I don't see a lot of folks in the comments right now, but we will let you guys have a turn. If anybody in the comments has a question to try to figure out what is in my head, where it's basically like 20 questions, except it's not necessarily just 20 questions.
In
so,
your captainy little
in
brain.
my captainy little brain. Oh, David Dilks just asked to put the Royale on the wheel. That'll be a lot of fun. I like the Royale. That's a fun one.
That the one where Riker says when the train comes in, everybody rides.
That is that one. Mm-hmm. And it's
Dave's
got.
dice throwing.
And I know you guys aren't Buffy Angel
Joe
fans.
Don Baker.
But I know you guys aren't Buffy Angel fans, but the guy who runs the hotel is the guy who runs Wolfram and Hart in season 1 and 2 of Angel, and he's a great actor, and he's good at kind of manipulative sorts of bad guy roles, but not just those. And he's also in Lost. Come to think of it, yeah.
So how interesting in that episode is it that the people who find this dude from Earth are Earthlings?
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, it's a little convenient.
Never
yeah,
thought of that till just now.
when you yeah, sure. It's just when you said interesting, I was like, what's interesting? Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of easy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I got something in my head. It's about Star Trek, and you guys ask me some questions and try to see yes or no questions, of course. Try to see if you can figure out what it is. And we begin this time with Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Is it bigger than Porthos?
It is bigger than Porthos. Porthos is Archer's beagle, for anybody that doesn't know. We'll go ahead and let Adam ask a question, and then we'll go right back to Brandon, unless
bigger than
somebody
Porthos,
in the
which doesn't
comments asks a
really
question.
Narrow it down all that much, because there's many things.
It's a
bigger than
phaser,
Porthos.
then, it's not like, yeah, good.
Is it alive?
It is alive, yes, indeed. Go ahead, Brandon.
Is it a species?
Have you guys go back and forth until we see something from the audience. It is not a species. Okay, audience, we'll give you about 10 seconds if you want to throw something out. It is bigger than a beagle, Porthos, and it is not a species, and it's alive. That's what we know.
Okay, not a species, is alive.
Okay, Adam, we'll go ahead and give you a question, man.
Okay. Do we see this in the Next Generation?
This is indeed in the Next Generation. Mm-hmm. Good, Brandon.
Well, is it an individual?
It is an individual. Yep.
It's an individual. Bigger than Porthos.
An individual that is bigger than Porthos. That doesn't even rule out. That doesn't even rule out all the animals. Yeah. I don't know if an exocomp is bigger than Porthos. I think they're right on par.
That was just a joke about the size of Porthos.
Yeah,
really.
I think they're equal in size. All right, Adam.
Let me think here. Is it Federation, or is this person Federation affiliated?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they?
At least at some point, yes. Brandon.
Oh. Well, that rules out my next question, I feel like. Are they?
Real quick, Tom, the episode we're watching tonight is Take Me Out to the Hall Suite, which is season 7, DS9. Go ahead, Brandon.
Is this individual a good guy in the episode?
Yeah. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Hmm.
And you guys in the comments, feel free to play as well. Mr. Adam.
Think here. And he's Federation affiliated at one time.
Yes.
I feel like that may not be our most narrow clue, though.
That should help a lot. I felt like I might have been giving away too much saying that.
And he's morally ambiguous. Let me think here. Is he human?
Yes. Tom wants to know if it's a Klingon. It is not a Klingon because it's human. Brandon. He beat you to it, sir.
Is this... Did we already ask if this individual shows up more than once?
No, I don't think that was
Does
asked.
this individual show up more than once?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Are we waiting? Waiting.
No, go ahead.
For somebody to ask.
Go ahead. Yeah, we're
Is
not seeing a lot from the
male?
comments, so we'll let you guys just go back and forth. Yes, this person is male. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is this person in more than one series?
Yes.
Oh. More than one series.
Yes.
Huh. Is this person have special powers?
No.
Oh,
No busted sim. It's not Quark because Quark's not human.
that's true.
Brandon.
Is this individual...
It's a human and more than one.
Does this individual appear in Next Gen?
Yes. But I think we already have
We asked that.
Oh,
Brandon.
Yeah.
does it appear in DS9?
Yes.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tom wants to
Yeah.
know if this person is visually impaired. No.
Jordy's sometimes the bad guy.
Jordy doesn't appear. Well, he appears in Voyager, in Brandon's favorite episode, Timeless. But
Yep.
I don't know what else he appears in besides. I don't think he appears.
He
in
doesn't
any
fit a
other
lot
stuff.
of the other criteria, though.
LeVar Burton directed several other shows.
Let's catch some folks up real quick because some people just got here and are wanting to play all of a sudden. So Busted Sim says, I just got here, I'll have a full context. Okay, we'll create some context. So we have a person who
Bigger than
is...
Porthos.
We have a... Not everything is relevant at this point. We know that we have a human male who is in Starfleet, sometimes is good, sometimes not. Is how I decided to answer that. In more than... What's that?
I think I know who it is.
In more than one series, TNG and DS9 is what we know so far. I'm making this way too easy for Adam. What else do we know? Those are the things we know. Let me answer a few things from the audience. I said that. A male human. JDF1217. Are you a Jason David Frank fan, or is that a coincidence? Is it a member of the Maquis? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Adam, do you know what it is? Oh! Busted Tim got to it before Adam had a chance. Adam,
No.
Go ahead.
Is it Thomas Riker?
It is Thomas Riker, yes. But Busted Sim
Darn
got
it.
there before you had a chance to. Okay, that was fun. Good job, Brandon. Were you anywhere in the ballpark? Had you gotten there yet?
Brandon doesn't know that Thomas Riker was in Deep Space Nine, do you?
I did, actually.
You see
I
that
just
episode?
haven't seen the episode.
I like how we just assume Brandon doesn't know anything at all about DS9.
Well, that
Like,
became the running joke, you know.
It's a blank slate.
it's still funny, and I'm sure that will continue to come up because now we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite DS9 episodes, of which Brandon does not have a list. So,
Correct.
Adam, why don't you give us your number 5, and we'll try to run through these a little bit quickly so that we can get to our first episode today. Adam, what is your 5th all-time favorite episode of Deep Space Nine?
All-time favorite episode is Duet.
Duet is great.
Duet is the episode, for those of you who do not know, Brandon, where a Cardassian with an ailment comes on the station, and then he turns out to be you think he was involved. He was somebody stationed at a place during during the occupation where an atrocity occurred. Because only people with this particular ailment were at this place because there's an industrial accident that happened. And then it turns out that he is like the war criminal Gold that ran the place. But then at the end, things change. And Kira has, it's a big character development moment for Kira. It's a great episode for her.
Am I remembering that right? Is that the last episode of season 1?
It's the penultimate episode of season 1.
Yeah.
The last episode is Keiko O'Brien versus Kai Wen in the school.
It is easily the best episode of that season, which is not hard because it's not a good season, but it is the blueprint in a lot of ways for everything after it.
Yes.
Right? Like, it feels like a season 3 episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, it's spectacular. That wasn't even in my runners-up, but it could have been. I mean, that is a really good episode. I feel like it treads some of the same ground. I just thought of this of The Defector, but has like a completely different ending. Where like you've got this guy that shows up who seems kind of duplicitous, and he's claiming one thing, but then other things keep coming out about him, and you're wondering like, is he going to turn out to be like a scary member of the Tal Shiar, a scary member of the Obsidian Order, or is it going to turn out that like everything is actually lining up? And it has almost the opposite ending. I mean, it's more complex than that, but
I think the really guy who plays Eamon Maritza, the guy,
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah,
he does, the actor. I don't know who he is, but he does a fantastic job in that episode, especially the scene where he breaks down at the end. I always it's very emotional.
He's spectacular, and I can't remember. Do we bring him back?
No, he dies at the end of the episode.
Does he die at the end of it? See, I couldn't remember.
That drunk Bajoran.
That's right. That's right.
He goes, "It's a Cardassian. Isn't enough to Kira?" And she goes, "No, it's not."
I mix him up with a couple of other people sometimes because I've only seen that episode a couple of times. Okay, my number 5 is It's Only a Paper Moon. Which
and
is
for a Nog with his PTSD.
Yes.
That's a great episode. That was almost on my list.
Was it? Yeah, I think that's one of the best episodes of season 7. It's toward the end, and it's the best Vic Fontaine episode easily. And it's one of those things that could have been really irritating and kind of sappy. Pardon me, it doesn't come off that way at all. It's a really good character piece. And again, we've talked about this a lot, but I really appreciate DS9 for giving those kinds of really deep, personal, complex character pieces to not main cast characters. Like, by the time you get to season 5, the names in the opening credits don't matter anymore. It's a cast of like 15 people at that point. Right.
And it's a great follow-up to the Siege of AR 558, and it shows really a lingering. It really shows DS9's strength to play these character developments long term and stuff, and how this was something that Nog was going to have to deal with. It wasn't just going to be something that conveniently was going to be wrapped up at the end of the hour. you know, kind
Yeah,
of
of
like Worf's
course.
ailment was in ethics.
Yes, because it all goes back to ethics. But it's really important that, like you said, that there are consequences for that. We are not afraid of shaking up status quo, particularly with individual characters in that show. He has probably the grandest transformation, the most like extreme transformation of anybody in that show, or at least he's really up there. Like, I'd say he'd be in the top 3 or 5, Star Trek characters that are very different at the end than they are at the beginning, but because of an organic evolution, as opposed to just, we didn't know, like, we didn't really have a good handle of them at the beginning, so they're different a lot toward the end. Worf has that, right?
Like, a counter of that would be, like, his father, Rom,
yes, who's just reinvented at some point.
Because they didn't know really what to do with him at first, and then they kind of developed him.
He was
more.
basically playing Rom the same way, Grodenchik. He was basically playing Rom the same way that he played other Ferengi before that. Yeah, because I want to say, was he one of the Ferengi in the one with the empathic metamorph?
He might have been. He was the Ferengi in Captain's Hall.
Perfect Mate.
I must have that woman.
Yeah. Maybe that was the only one he was in. I can't remember, but
Card punches him in the face.
Okay, what is your number? Sorry. Let's get to Sarah's number 4, or number 5. Excuse me. Sarah's 5 is statistical probabilities, which, like I said, almost made my list.
Oh, that's a good one. Is that the first one?
It's the first one with the augments, with the genetically engineered augments, who come on board in season 6 and tell, it's like 7 or 8 into season 6, and they try to tell the Federation that there's no chance at winning the war, and so they're suggesting that they kind of give themselves over to the Dominion,
right,
in order to save lives.
And then later, don't they have like a thing where they're talking about like the galaxy or whatever is going to come to an end at the end of the episode, and they have that PowerPoint.
It's crazy.
The end is near up on the
it becomes
or whatever.
It kind of becomes about like geniuses who are too smart for their own good and end up like spinning wild conspiracy theories because they can see so many possible inevitabilities that they end up jumping to like the most negative possible conclusions, and then end up not seeing the more positive possibilities because that stuff is so scary. And
all those guest actors in that episode,
they're all
really
spectacular.
Good too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of them is Divatox from Power Rangers Turbo.
Yeah, you told me that.
We talked about that recently. Yeah. What is your number 4, Adam?
Number 4 is Far Beyond the Stars.
Far Beyond the Stars is wonderful.
And it's just a great episode all around. I don't really know what all to say about it. Most people are familiar with it, but
yeah, my list is messed up because Far Beyond the Stars was supposed to be on here, but it's not. And I don't know how it didn't. It was really hard to do 10, and I accidentally left it off. So I don't know. It should be on here. I was about to say that mine was a little bit higher, but it's actually somehow not on my list now that I'm looking at it again. But it should be somewhere in there as well. Yeah, that is Avery Brooks' big. Is that his directorial debut? Is it the only one he directed?
Yeah, he directed that episode. Yeah, I don't know if it's the only one, but
I couldn't remember if it was the only one. Yeah. But that is one of the big, standout fan favorites. It's kind of one of the obvious ones to put on, but it's that good. And again, I think The City on the Edge of Forever is a little overrated. Some people think that one, like my wife Sarah, wouldn't put that on the list. I don't go that far. I can't help but put it there. For performances and for like creative use of actors, if nothing else.
Right.
And it's a really clever premise, and it was kind of a neat way to address racial issues in a show where that's kind of a difficult thing to even deal with on like a regular human level, because we don't have those problems anymore. So we deal with them with aliens, and then here we do the reverse, where we use the aliens to deal with the old racial issues we used to have by doing a story that takes place in the 40s.
It's the 50s, and
Is it the 50s? Yeah.
And they used the alien actors, Alamo and Combs, to play the two cops that beat him
You get
up.
those really subtle flashes where you see them
and
in
those
full makeup a
flashes
couple
of them
times.
in
It's
makeup,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really like what they did with Martok in that,
Yes, he's great.
where he walks
Yes,
in
the
with the picture of DS9, and
Yes.
he's so if you don't remember that episode, it's weird because it's not a time travel thing. It's Cisco having these kind of weird hallucinations where he ends up as a sci-fi writer, and I also really appreciated, by the way, just doing an episode about science fiction writing. In that show, and doing kind of a tribute to the history of narrative, of literature
Literary
that got us
science
to Star Trek. Yeah,
Right.
and they kind of made up a sci-fi magazine that was a lot like the other sci-fi magazines of
Like
of
Galaxy,
the 50s.
Amazing Stories, things like
Like
that.
Amazing Stories, yeah. And it deals with all of the politics behind people of different minorities that couldn't publicly be seen as public figures in a lot of different arenas, including writing. And it's interesting that they had. That they had people working under pen names, Kira's character is working under a pen name, just like DC Fontana did.
Right,
and
exactly.
I kind of thought that was like a nod to DC
That's a
Fontana.
reference to her, I think. Yeah.
Because she wrote several episodes of TOS, and a lot of people at that time wouldn't have known that DC Fontana was a woman.
Exactly.
And I don't know how taboo that is in '66, but we still were doing some of that.
Right.
Most assuredly, and I don't know how much of that was it still felt that taboo to her at that point, and she felt like she had to be careful, or she just had been doing it for a while, so she was still using that name. I actually don't know the history of that, but anyway, it's brilliant, and we could go on and on. But anyway, okay, so my number 4 is Waltz, which I talk about all the time because you are not an evil man.
Oh man, you. Not an evil.
I love that episode a lot. That is, which I guess is redundant because it's on my list, but it's wonderful. Cisco is on a planet with Crazy Dukat. This is even after he's had his cult, and after Zial's died, after he's had his crazy cult where he
is it after
of
it's
worship.
not? I thought it was.
Or is it before?
Before Impact Nord.
Oh, I thought it was
before
even
Impact Nord. It's so he gets arrested at the end when they retake Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And Zial's dead and he's crazy. And then they're transporting him in a ship to jail.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so so it's
and then he gets attacked by the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah.
Blown up.
I forgot the timeline.
They both get in a shuttlecraft, basically.
And then later you have the pirate
crashes on that planet.
Yeah.
And he's having all those visions and stuff.
And there's a lot of great performances in that too, because the whole thing, I mean, it watches like a stage play, right? Like the whole thing is just Cisco and Dukat on a planet. I don't remember if there's a subplot where we keep jumping back to DS9. I just don't remember. There might have been.
It's not even really it's a cave set. It's not, you don't even really get it's so minimalist.
Yeah, it's really minimalist. Yeah, I always think of it as almost like the Empath, like just taking place on a black soundstage.
Yeah.
It's not, but it could have. It nearly could have been, right? And but there's a lot of cool performances in that because he's hallucinating all these different people. So you get some really nice stuff from Jeffrey Combs and from the guy who plays Damar, and yeah, it's really good. And I can't remember who the third one is. There's somebody else there. It's not Win. Who else is there?
Kira's
in his head. Kira's the other one. That's what it is. Yeah. But. Yeah, thanks, Busted Sim. I always think of Waltz as being in 7, but no, it's 6. I'm a little rusty on this stuff, but anyway, it's wonderful. And then Sarah's 4 was also Waltz. We tied. We got the exact same choice there. Okay, Adam, what's your 3?
Number 3 is The Visitor.
I love The Visitor.
I love The Visitor.
Go ahead and talk about The Visitor.
It's a great...
I think it's Tony Todd's crowning performance in anything.
Great performance in Star Trek.
And Tony Todd's in a lot of stuff, and he gives a lot of great performances. He's one of my absolute favorite actors, and I think that's his best performance in anything.
Though it does have a weird, unintended, thing. So if Cisco died, Did the Dominion War not happen? Because
it's a retroactive issue, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're in, what is that, season 3 or 4? Like when you don't know where everything is going and you do a stuff that never happened episode where you change things at the end so that your crazy time travel thing didn't actually happen, then it's really hard not to look at things afterwards and be like, well, no, wait a minute, how was everything seeming so hunky-dory in the future?
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of an issue.
It's just a great show. Always really appreciated like the relationship between Cisco and Jake on that show, and how like openly affectionate and everything they were with each other, and and how close they were. Yeah. And it really showed that relationship really well.
And it's a really cool character piece, and it's a brilliant father and son story, and it's a really tragic father and son story. It's like, I'm a sucker for those, and a lot of really good father and son stories end up being kind of like Field of Dreams, where it's a little sappy, and you get like, and like this does have a happy ending, but it's also really tragic. Where if Jake Sisko, elderly Jake Sisko hadn't managed to get the timeline, reset, he basically didn't get to live his life. And that's really sad. But then he's also kind of vindicated at the end. Because he then gets to live his life, and so like Cisco's got a point, but he does too. Where like as a father, you want to make the sacrifices that you need to so that your children can have the best lives that they can. But as a son, you care that your father gets to go on as well, and so it's really difficult to compromise in that kind of situation. And I love that, and I love everything about that. I think The Visitor is the best stuff that never happened episode in Star Trek, and there are a lot of them. I think it's absolutely the best of them, because it doesn't feel like it didn't matter. Like time does get fixed and does get reversed.
Cisco guy, he remembers it, so he and it makes him even closer to Jake than he was before, because he remembers what old Jake did.
Yeah, you're right. So that does inform him and strengthen that relationship as things go on. And even if Cisco didn't remember it, I mean, it would be weaker, but at least we got this different version of Jake Sisko that lived a whole life. And so I don't know, it's almost a retread of Inner Light in a way, and I think it's a better Inner Light. It's not exactly that, but I just thought of that, but it's a little bit similar to that. Anyway, my number 3 is Way of the Warrior, which we talked about last week.
Way of the Warrior. Yeah.
I had to put that real high. Because it's one of those event things that, like I said earlier, like shouldn't work and does, and it's really cinematic, and you're right, it's got a spectacular battle scene, and it's got some, I don't know, it reinvents Worf in a really intelligent way, and right away makes you feel like he should have always been in that show. Like this, he almost, after Way of the Warrior and after just DS9 in general, he almost feels like he doesn't fit in TNG in a way. It's almost like he was like created for this show.
Meant for Deep Space Nine, yeah. He really gives a chance to grow on that show.
Sarah's 3 is By Inferno's Light, which I'm not immediately remembering.
By Inferno's Light.
And I gotta look that up.
It's one of the ARC ones. What is that?
DS9's.
They have some crazy titles.
Yeah, and a lot of their episode titles just don't stick with me.
Oh, that's my number 10.
Oh, that's right.
That's the one where they're in the
You didn't remember the title either.
Camp. Yeah, that's the one where they're in the camp and Worf's fighting the guy, and we get real Martok.
And we finally get real Martok, yeah.
Yeah, and Garrick has to overcome his claustrophobia. It's great.
I forget that one again. Has he By Inferno's Light? I forget this. Has he already lost his eye when we get to him, or does he lose it there?
He lost his eye.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And that was a way to differentiate him physically from the shapeshifter changeling who had died earlier. So
we'll see what happens with number 2 here, because I think I know what your 1 is now. Now that some things have been crossed off the list. What is your number 2?
Number 2 is In the Pale Moonlight.
Is it really? That is also my number 2, which means I don't immediately know what your 1 is, because I thought it would be In the Pale Moonlight. Wow! Interesting.
In the Pale Moonlight, which we talked about at length a couple weeks ago.
We did, so we don't really need to get into that again.
That
Sarah's number 2 is Impact Noir. And we all know how much Sarah loves Impact Noir. And we also watched Impact Noir a few weeks ago.
It's a fun episode. It's good.
And her number 1 was In the Pale Moonlight. So I'm very interested to see what your number 1 is. Like I said, I screwed up my list because Far Beyond the Stars should have been there. I don't know what. I guess I would drop off Tribunal if I had to, and then kick everything up 1 and then get it into like the 3 or 4 spot. Anyway, what is your number 1 then? I guess I can't guess it.
Deep Space Nine episode is Past Tense.
Is it really?
Yes.
I like Past Tense a lot. I had it in my runners up.
Yeah.
But I ultimately couldn't get it on the list.
I thought.
Wait, was it? Oh no, it is on my list. What am I talking about? It was my number 6. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. So that was.
So we talked about it last.
We talked about it last week, but that was the 2-part time travel episode where Cisco becomes Gabriel Bell, and it's the mid 2020s, just a few years from now.
4 years
where
from
people
now.
can't get work and are having to live on the streets in a cordoned off area of the city. It's very depressing, but it's excellent. It's some really good Star Trek.
Right.
My number 1. Okay, can you guess my 1 now that it hasn't come up on my list?
Is it The Visitor?
It is The Visitor. Mm-hmm.
It's The Visitor. Yeah.
Good job. I was about to say I was really glowing about it earlier, but somehow it wasn't on my list. Yeah, it's The Visitor. And like I said, Sarah's was In the Pale Moonlight. Let's throw out a few runners up real quick.
Okay.
You want to just jump back and forth and just throw out some titles?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I got here's a good one. We have Wrong Starker Than Death or Night. That's the Kira episode with Ducat, where he reveals that her mother was a collaborator during the occupation.
Why are they that good at retroactive flashback episodes? I mean, that one doesn't even quite count as a flashback episode because it is time travel. But is it time travel or is it an orb?
It's an orb thing.
Or does the orb
of time? I don't know.
No, it is the orb. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. But they're really good at those.
Yeah.
That is a Babylon 5 episode, is what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Did in your runners-up, and I kind of expected this on your list, did you have any of the Eddington episodes? Did you have For the Uniform?
For the Uniform in my runner-up.
Yep, I did
That's
too.
A crazy episode where Cisco poisons an entire planet and doesn't get in trouble for it, apparently.
That happened. Wow. It's nuts. And you expect it to be a bluff, and then they show the special effect, and it just covers the planet. You're like, what is happening?
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then it's like,
That's
good,
great.
but they swap at the end. They swap planets, the Cardassians and the humans, too.
Oh, man, it's great. You just get flashbacks to Ravicon with the whole SETI Alpha 5-6 thing.
That's the only episode where they use that holographic communication system.
Yeah.
Where he has to, like, turn around in his seat to where the table normally is on the
They act like it's
bridge.
really futuristic technology, and they're just now getting it to work, and I'm like, I don't know why that was hard, but okay. Yeah, like you're able to make whole holodecks, but just, showing, like having, because it's not even the same way regular holograms work. Like, it's stuck to one place. Like, it's just, it's just
they had those little projectors in the tables.
You'd think the holo cameras
so
could create that portably.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about holo cameras way too much in these meetings. Yeah. Okay, another one on mine was, I talked about this earlier, but Inquisition almost made my list.
Which one's Inquisition?
That's the Section 31 episode, the first one of those with Sloane. Sure. And I hope you enjoy my scones, Worf.
I've got Explorers on my list.
I like it. It's hammock time.
It's hammock time. I've got some fun Ferengi episodes on there. Magnificent Ferengi. Yeah, that one's great. Is that the one with Iggy Pop? That's the one where they have the debt with Iggy Pop, yes.
Yeah.
And it has one of my favorite just random sight gags when they're Quark and Rom are like crawling through the Jeffries tube talking, and they just accidentally go into Cisco's office while he's sitting there. He's like, "Gentlemen, can I help you?"
Yes, it's so good.
They're like,
That is
"Swelter."
so DS9 being as dark of a show as it is has some of the best comedy episodes in all of Star Trek, and almost every, I would say, am I wrong? Is every episode that is a clear cut straight up comedy really good? Do they have any that just don't quite?
I mean, like the
land?
Ascent. That's not. I mean, that's not. That's almost a comedy, even though it was serious and stuff. The one with Odo and Quark on the planet.
Yeah.
And they have to.
But I'm thinking of things like, obviously Trials and Tribulations is like a straight up comedy episode, and then you've got Treachery, Faith in the Great River.
That's actually a tragic episode though, but that's the one with Wei Yun.
Oh, that's
the
true.
good Wei Yun. Yeah, but you have
that's kind of a blend.
What's it called? Who mourns? Who mourn?
Yeah, that was really
That's
good.
a good one.
Like, they have a surprising number. Okay, the one where Quark has to cross-dress is not great.
That's a bad one.
That one's okay. That one's not good.
That's not good.
Bustin' Sim just mentioned Prophet and Lace before we got to it, and he said, well, that's, yeah, okay. That's maybe the one. But a lot of the rest of it's really good. Let me read a few comments real quick. Cinematographic, we are watching Take Me Out to the Holosuite. That is season 7, DS9. We actually are watching one of the great comedy episodes of DS9, and I'm so glad that we spun a DS9 episode, because last week we had to watch 2 episodes that weren't DS9. We had to watch 2 Voyager season 5 episodes
because somebody loaded up the wheel.
Stephen Murphy, Move Along Home might be a comedy episode, but unintentionally. Yeah, I don't think that was meant to be like a rousing comedic episode.
It was just a bizarre episode. I don't think they knew what it was meant to be.
Like, when I think of comedy episodes, I think of things in the same kind of tradition as Trouble with Tribbles.
Yes. Yeah.
And Piece of the Action.
Mm-hmm.
Busted Sim, I really like the 2 twin episodes, Necessary Evil and Things Past.
Which one is Necessary Evil?
God, I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't remember.
Gotta look that up.
This guy's remembering DS9 titles better than we are. Oh, yeah. That's another flashback episode. I think you brought that one up, actually.
Oh, that's on my list.
Yeah, it was on your list, yeah.
That. Well, no, that's not on my list.
Oh, is that even a different one?
Things Past is on my list.
Okay.
Wait, Odo, that's a great episode. That's the episode where it's almost like a Raymond Chandler kind of
detective novel,
film noir type thing, and Odo has like a voiceover narration in it and stuff, Yeah,
and it works. That should have been goofy, but it totally works.
It worked for Odo.
And then Busted Sim says they used the holo communicator also in Dr. Bashir, I presume. Did they really? Oh, yes, they did. Yeah, because the Admiral shows up at the end to give the exposition about why it's bad to have genetic engineering, but why the Doctor is going to be allowed to stay instated and stuff, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on to our episode tonight, or our first episode tonight, and let's go ahead and pull that up. I was hoping this would come up soon. I love this one.
All right, let me pull this up.
Adam and I quote this on like a monthly basis.
Yes.
Manufactured Triumph. It's a fancy Dan. We're going to be obnoxious, by the way, just to give everybody a heads up. All we're going to do is quote this episode constantly. Like it's going to be this entire commentary.
Okay. It's number 4, season 7.
And we get to watch...
Just do a shot-for-shot remake on the channel.
We should. Except I can't play baseball. So I'll have to play one of the characters that can't play baseball.
I'll have to bunt.
Right. Brandon, do you remember this one at all?
Just a little bit from the time we watched.
You know what? You know what else we get in this episode? We get the Federation. We get the theme of the Federation, the National Federation Anthem.
Yes, and it's just like not even about. It's like Rick Berman wrote it because it has no actual melody to it.
It has no melody. Yeah, and everybody looks all patriotic, and I'm like, how does this even stay in your head at all? You know what I mean? I want somebody to try to hum it. You know?
There's no melody.
Nog's sitting there with, like with his hand over his heart. I just wanted him to be like.
I think the Vulcan in this episode is basically an Enterprise era Vulcan. Because he's
Yes, he totally is. Let's go ahead and start watching it before we say everything we have to say. So Take Me Out of the Holosuite is episode 4 of season 7. We've given everybody lots of time to pull it up, so hopefully you had time to pull it up on your Netflix or your discs, however you're going to watch it. And timestamp 0, get ready to press play as soon as I say now. Here we go, everybody. Please press play right now. See, this music we're listening to right now could be the federal national anthem.
Yes,
the Federation national anthem. I never remembered Tucumbra. That's one that I should try to commit to memory.
Where it's like a Vulcan ship again, like TOS almost, you know?
I don't think they should have those. They explode.
I feel like they shouldn't. It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't make sense. Why would you have a ship of only Vulcans if it's not from the Vulcan Science Academy or whatever?
Yeah.
Or Science Director. What is it
Whatever
called?
it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it been a long road too, Brandon?
Yes.
Getting from there to here?
This guy.
Busted Sim says, he must not be from America. For people with Stars and Stripes as an anthem, do you really have ground to stand on for dissing anthems? Yeah, but at least there's a melody.
Yeah, it has actual tone.
Yeah. This just sounds like background music, like the same background music you're listening to during the whole episode. Boy, you're right.
Yeah.
He even looks like an Enterprise era Vulcan.
Yeah.
He's got such a condescending face.
I know.
They should have done a whole elaborate plot later on, or like earlier on in Enterprise, where it turns out that this guy was actually like from the past and nobody knew it, and he came into the future.
Into the future. He's got his haircut's almost Romulan.
I know. Is this episode sort of racist against Vulcans, or is it just this guy?
It's just this guy's a jerk.
He's a total jerk.
Look at all those pads. Once again.
So many pads.
So many
You know, ever
pads.
since we made a big deal out of that, it's like we've selected all of the episodes on accident that have that problem in
Have
spades.
pads. This is what they all do. This is crazy.
Hi, Mr. Roboto. We're watching a great comedy episode of DS9. It's Take Me Out of the Holosuite. So I feel like this was kind of an inevitable thing, and it's sort of crazy that it took until the 7th season before we saw Cisco playing baseball.
Right.
Because we hear
we
hear
see
talk
a
about
baseball
him and Jake going to watch baseball all the time, and
But
we
we
also
never
know
see
that he and Cassidy Yates play.
And he invited Kira one time to go watch baseball at the end of the episode.
Right. But wasn't it even? Am I wrong? Is that just this episode where we finally bring that up, or had we talked earlier even about him and
First time
Cassidy?
that we actually ever see him on a baseball diamond.
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm trying to remember if there was precedent for him and Cassidy playing together.
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought
that
maybe
was
there
the
was.
thing. Well, he would watch the games that her brother did on Cestus 3.
That's right, because somehow they still had baseball on the. See, and I want that episode with the Gorn, or like the Gorns are filling up stands watching baseball. Do you think they just pulled out a planet out of a hat, or did it occur to them how funny of a middle picture it was to see Gorns playing baseball?
You're out, Captain.
They all have to talk with those creepy universal translators that are all like hissy and like.
Or if just talks about we will destroy them before he knows what they're going to even do.
Yep. Ball 1. Ball 2.
Baseball.
Blessed Sim, would Gorns be good at baseball? They move so slow.
Water polo.
I know I'm constantly criticizing teasers, but that's another decent teaser. It tells you what you're getting yourself into, and immediately establishes a comedic tone and the premise of the show. And you assume that the whole time you're going to be seeing people playing baseball, which is what happens.
Yes.
So good job. Way to not make us think that it was going to be a standard drama.
No money. This cost no money. They didn't even have to use the sets. They just went out to some random
To some
park
baseball. Yeah.
and shot the episode.
I like delete the spectators.
Yeah, delete the spectators.
Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. Thanks. Wouldn't it be Spaceball if it was in space? well, okay, but they have other games that I would be more likely to want to retitle Spaceball because they're in space. But they're still in a holodeck as if they're not in space. So it's not like they play it differently.
I hope the baseball itself is holographic, because that seems very dangerous to hit a real baseball bouncing around.
That's a good point. It would just start bouncing everywhere. And you'd be like, we weren't trying to get a racquetball game going. That's the other game that we played a lot in this show. Game. Yeah. Well, I say played. Again, this is the only time we actually see baseball. Is it weird that we never bring up that guy from early TNG that was obsessed with baseball and was upset that they don't play it anymore?
Remember Ken Jenkins? I can't remember what his name was.
When he's like, what is that? Is that Evolution?
It's Evolution.
It's the episode with the nanites, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, to reward myself, I would play out entire seasons in my mind. Yeah.
I was a Wunderkind.
A Wunderkind, yeah. He's got that whole thing with Wesley Crusher.
Yeah. They put it on the ops console.
Yeah, they're reading the rules of baseball.
Which looks awesome, by the way.
That looks great.
Imagine Okuda had to put that on there.
He had to make that.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
God, the graphics in this show. One of the things I appreciate about this episode is that you don't have to care about baseball in order to enjoy this episode. Because our Aizen characters are all the people. I mean, okay, you got Cisco who knows what he's talking about, but this is a multiple protagonist kind of episode, or at least you kind of feel like you've got other Aizen characters, right? Like it is a character story for Cisco, right. Certainly. He's got the arc.
That's funny that we're watching a baseball episode and I happen to be wearing a baseball shirt right now.
Oh wow! What are the odds of that? Clearly not planned, because it is impossible, as we've been able to tell, to intentionally stack the deck on that.
I forgot
that wheel.
This episode was on the wheel.
I can't make that wheel do what I want it to, even if I tried. Busted Sim, who wants to see the Parisi Squares episode? Yes, I do, because we don't know what it looks like.
I want to know what Parisi Squares is.
And the way
they're all talking to kids like they're in an episode of Growing Pains or something like, you should never play Parisi Squares, kids.
The way it's described, it always seems like it must be exactly the same game as Ambujitsu.
Like, you get hit in the head or something, and it takes your head off.
John Huffer, this is Season 7. Let me know when you get there if you need a timestamp. It's Episode 4 of Season 7. Got a lot of people coming in late. Rom, have you ever played a sport?
Yeah.
If I'm Rom, I don't know if I would be like so quick to jump into this. I mean, I guess he's got that whole loyal friend thing where it's like, well, we're supposed to beat the Vulcans. Like, I get that, but if I've never played a sport before,
mm-hmm.
Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. How many sports and alien games are mentioned in Star Trek? A lot. Many. Both, Earth sports and also made-up alien sports. Quite a bit.
Yeah. And Bujitsu.
And games, too.
That looks
board
like
games in
American
Star Trek.
Gladiators. And Bujitsu.
And Bujitsu, it does. The helmets, especially.
The helmets.
What is the name of that episode with Daddy Riker?
Oh, God. It's like a weird title. Season 2
I can never remember it.
What is it called? It's really long title, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember right off.
I can't remember.
Icarus Factor. It's such a long title.
Factor.
God, can you believe they've made an episode title as long as the Icarus Factor? It's so long.
Icarus Factor.
So I wonder what this ball field actually is.
I'll look that up. I have no idea. We assume it's just some random ball field somewhere.
It's just like somewhere in California.
I want to know if it still looks like that.
This is like the most fun Cisco ever seems like he's having ever.
He's a Giants fan, and Jake is an Oakland A's fan, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not their colors.
I kind of like the idea, though, that you would just like be fans of random teams because you're constantly watching all kinds of different games on the holosuite. So like you wouldn't even necessarily root for one team because they're all dead. So it would be more like watching a TV show, right?
Yeah.
See, I'll have to look that up later. I'm not finding it right away.
Yeah.
Yes, Busted Sim. For the world is hollow and I have touched the sky is very long.
That's the longest.
I can live with it.
Right? Wait, his shirt says his name on it.
They just didn't get any louder.
Avery Brooks plays this really enthusiastically, and it makes me wonder how into baseball he is. And how much of that choice initially for Cisco had anything to do with the actor.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously always turning in a good performance, but there are, I think, with Avery Brooks, because we've talked some about how kind of an odd duck Avery Brooks is. And you can tell that there sometimes the episodes that he seemed to be happy he was there for and the ones he wasn't as happy to be there for, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta wonder which actors are actually decent at baseball that have to pretend like they're not.
Right. Have to pretend they're bad.
Oh, Mr. Roboto just put the game on the board. Adam.
What?
He put
Oh,
the game. Yes.
Oh.
You gotta have a reaction to that.
Wasn't Atlanta Braves cap. I don't know why I thought that was an A's cap.
I don't know enough about sports. I just went with it. Solak is a good Vulcan name, but it also sounds like an Enterprise Vulcan name. And all of the choices of roles here make a lot of sense.
Outstanding.
Because that's the closest thing to a security officer. And having have the same kind of impartiality. I mean, I like that idea.
Yes. Yes.
And
he's famously, rigid in the name of justice or whatever. What is that thing on Quark's head?
Busted Sim says that Grodenchik actually played baseball.
Oh, really?
The Alchemist says he played minor league. That's hilarious.
Wow.
And so, of course, naturally, we have to pretend like Rom. Or we have to make it so that Rom can't play baseball at all. That's really funny. All he got to do was bunt.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that makes this episode better is that there's not all that much Esri in it.
The clavicular joint.
See, we got to make it harder by taking out O'Brien.
I know.
He's
O'Brien
actually good
always
at
is
stuff.
having injuries.
Always, yep. He's the Riker of this show.
I know. I mean, he's got that injury going back to TNG with the kayaking.
The Alchemist says Grodenchik had to play the opposite hand for everything to make a scene seem real.
Wow.
That's great.
Worf's zygomatic bone. What's a zygomatic bone?
I don't know, but I want to think they made it up.
Worf's got a lot of crazy things. We all know that.
And he's got at least two of all of them.
Yes, exactly.
He's got extra.
Redundancy.
Yeah. He's got at least two
What
of
was
them.
that thing he just ate? What was that?
Missed it.
Yeah, I missed it too. I don't know.
He's swinging flowers.
Yeah, that's pretty silly. Busted Sim, things I disagree with Cap about. Enterprise, Esri, A Matter of Perspective, and Course Oblivion. Okay, so just all of Enterprise. I don't know. Okay. You just agrees with me on Enterprise. Just that...
I'm ambivalent about Esri. She's no Jadzia, but she doesn't, like, actively drive me crazy or anything.
She got a little better as it went along, and then they did that Worf arc, and then it was the worst she ever
that was. Awesome. Yeah, the Worf.
Yeah. But...
It's just weird how they had to do that.
And I also don't like that they didn't take any real risks with it.
Right.
Like it's not all just the character. It's that they didn't do anything interesting with it. Like she should have been male. Like that would have been really interesting.
That would have been interesting, right? That would have been really interesting.
And I think a lot of fans that were actually like really into the show kind of wanted that or wanted something different. And then I think they were just worried that. People wouldn't watch if it wasn't like, or would be confused maybe if it wasn't similar to what they had known before. Like, I don't know whose choice it was to make it just like a younger, what behind the ears girl, and if that was a thing that that feels like a studio decision to me, like a network decision to me, but I don't know if it was.
Right.
I think these would all count as errors.
And I also just hated, and I also hated the ship's the whole ship's counselor thing again.
Yeah. Though I guess it could, you might want to have somebody like that during the middle of a war, but they're not on the front lines though, so it'd be awkward.
Wow, Worf looks great in yellow.
Worf looks great in yellow. He's in the Oakland A's colors.
So this would...
I guess that's a dumb thing for me to say because we've seen Worf in yellow, like a lot.
That would technically
be illegal. Green
cool.
and yellow.
It looks neat.
That would be illegal per the rules of baseball for the opposing team to come and watch your practices like that.
Yeah, you
so
should get
he's
him out.
violating a major rule of baseball.
Oh, Stephen Murphy has a good point. He says, I guess it was because if it wasn't a girl, then the only main cast female would have been Kira. That probably played into that decision, too. Right. Yeah. But you only got one season left. Is it that big of a deal? I don't know.
Something should have never happened. They should never have let Terry Farrell go. Frickin' Berman.
Yeah. No, very few people have been as shafted as she got with that whole thing. I mean, Jennifer Leon is a close second,
right?
Or maybe
so great
tied.
On that show too.
Yeah,
it's
well, that's kind of the difference is that I didn't really like Kes that much, but I mean, it wasn't Jennifer Leon's fault that she got thrown off that show. Like that was kind of wrong.
Right.
I think.
I like Kes more than I like Harry Kim.
Oh, really? I don't mind Kim.
Yeah, I liked her a little more than him. You're done.
I was really, like, if they had gotten rid of that elf look a lot earlier, I think people would have warmed up to her faster.
Right.
But I think that just kind of repelled people, just the look of it, yeah.
That was odd.
It's superficial, but it's true. Hey, Brandon, when you play baseball, do you, like, accidentally throw your baseball bat?
I do not.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Brandon, do you play baseball?
I have played, just here and there with people, but I'm left-handed, but I bat right-handed. It's interesting.
Ah.
Bustin, that's a good point too. He says, I do think if you have a character that has a backstory of the Trill, it's a missed opportunity to not kill them off and do something with it. They just did it too late.
Right.
I can see that.
Right. It's a rebellion.
Especially if you think about it, especially because you're in the middle of a war. So, like...
Right.
Jadzia ends up being the most expendable character you have because you could kill her in a battle and then bring her back. And yeah, they didn't even do it that way. She should have died in Siege of AR-5i8 or something. That's where it should have happened.
Such a bad job. It's just so random. Why was she even in the Bajoran Temple? She had never had any reason to go there ever before.
No, that was some really typical bad TV cliffhanger stuff.
Right.
She walked in there to die. That's why she went in
Right.
there. Cinematographic characters I
not
don't
having
care
it.
as much for in Star Trek. Wesley Crusher, agreed. Nero, agreed. Except I love. Don't tell me it didn't happen. Alexander
didn't happen.
Marcus, sure. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you know, there's a lot of not great stuff in the Abrams movies. Admiral Pressman. Oh, I don't agree with that. Crawl. I like Crawl. Okay. That's the villain from Beyond.
I
Con Harrison, yeah, and Doc Ock's wife from Insurrection. Well, yeah, nobody likes Doc Ock's wife from Insurrection.
Oh, the woman that's the Picard love interest.
Yeah, Ajin, Anij, whatever her name is.
Anij.
Okay, so that's fun and all, but there's nothing stopping Quark from going on one of his own holosuites and practicing
Yeah,
in
why
a
did he
baseball
practice
diamond.
there? Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Now, she is actually funny in this episode.
Yeah.
Looking at that
Everybody
thing like
got injured.
I also think maybe Esri and Bashir should have gotten together like earlier in the season instead of finally doing that at the
instead
end.
of
'Cause
at the end.
it
the
felt
last
like
episode or
it felt like we were
whatever.
teasing an audience that probably didn't care anymore, and I
Right.
kind of like the idea that like she is so different from Jadzia that she would fall for him quicker.
Right.
And you could say, well, you wouldn't want to get into something so quickly after being rejoined, but like Esri had a really weird joining where she was
Right.
she was almost like more of because she did it too young, if memory serves. So
Right.
she was almost like more of an individual and not as connected
Well, she
to
was
the
not
symbiote.
one of these. She had not been. She wasn't an initiate or anything.
She
was
hadn't gone through
just
the training.
a random trill that happened to be on the spaceship when they were taking it back.
Just like in The Host when we had to put it in Riker.
The whole thing with the host is so weird. It's like the Trill are just weird people we don't know anything about. Now we see them all the time, everywhere. That's a weird episode.
And not only that, but we know Cisco has a long-standing relationship with one particular Trill, so it goes back further than that episode would.
Yes, exactly. It was a complete retcon.
Alchemist says when Vic Fontaine starts to sing, that is my kryptonite. Do you mean like it makes you all weak in the knees because it's great, or do you mean you hate it?
I like
Important
Big
distinction.
Fontaine.
I love Vic Fontaine. And it's really cool that that guy was a real jazz singer from that period.
Yeah, James Darren.
Yeah. So neat they got him. And he turns out to be a really good actor.
Well, yeah, he was an actor too back in the day. He was on William Shatner's cop show in the 80s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was like an
PJ
actor.
Yeah, he was in like the Guns of Navarone. He was like a kind of a teen idol and stuff.
I'll have to look up some of his earlier work then. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So this is a nice one-off character study for Cisco.
Yeah.
And it's also very kind of TOS-y, right? He's got a
Yes.
he's got a rivalry with a guy
Right.
from his academy days, just like Kirk did with Finnegan and a
Right.
couple other people.
Right. Cisco's got a 3D chess set. I never noticed that before.
I wonder if they didn't put that here because he's dealing with a Vulcan.
Vulcans, right.
I mean, that's a good that's kind of a good symbolic prop right now. Because he's about to have to like play chess with the Vulcans.
Yes.
Why would you
Did
take
you
on a
notice
species
did you notice his baseball? His baseball is Starfleet branded. It's got
yeah.
a Starfleet logo on it.
No, it's great.
Oh, they show a close up at the end.
At the end, because
Yeah.
when you see it spin around, you'll see the star.
They
And
see
yeah,
it around.
there's always so much attention to detail in the props in the show. And I mean, 24th century Star Trek in general, but
I like that his baseball bat's generic. There's no Louisville Slugger logo on it or anything. I guess they didn't have they didn't want to have to pay them money or something, maybe.
yeah, they could have made up something, I guess. It should have said Cestus 3 on the side.
It's the 3.
Stephen Murphy, Ron Moore wrote this episode. I'm not sure what other comedy episodes he wrote. And then Busted Sim replies with After Battlestar Galactica. I find it hard to see Moore as a comedy writer. It just doesn't compute.
Yeah. I can't think of any specifically.
But I think of him as, I don't know, not lighter, but like better at that kind of stuff maybe than Bear.
Yeah. But Bear wrote a lot of Ferengi episodes, didn't he?
Well, maybe I'm wrong then. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Write more papers on it.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is not anything like a fair contest, because he's been he's about to make a big deal out of the Vulcans are it's like going up against human augments, right? Like they're naturally better at everything.
Right.
And that's nothing you can help. That's just the way these species were each born. Like one is 3 times stronger and has better visual acuity and
right.
Is physically faster and all of that. It's like going up against a bunch of
Not
cons.
to mention that they're all Vulcans, and he's got this ragtag team of unathletic people.
Yeah, and we're doing an underdog episode, so of course you've got to have that. But also they've been training this whole time.
Right.
Like he had
to come up with this over a week.
You get the sense that he's been having his crew practice baseball for this thing that he hasn't even suggested to Cisco yet, probably for weeks.
Right.
What jerk? Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. Is Dr. Bashir smarter than the average Vulcan? Yeah, probably.
Bashir doesn't have any strength, does he? He's just got visual acuity and intelligence.
No, but he's just asking specifically about his intelligence. I would think that being genetically engineered.
No, I was just acting to myself.
Oh yes, yeah, but he is. But just trying to answer the question, I think probably, right?
I think probably. Niners.
And you think about the kinds of
Space Niners.
You think about some of the computations that Spock's able to make in his head. Yeah. Na. This is the Federation anthem.
Just for that, I'm gonna learn it on the violin.
They look like people from the studio. They look like they're from the 90s. Look at them.
They just went out in the parking lot and found some people.
Come here.
Extras probably mill around the studio lot. And they probably pulled a bunch, said, hey, meet us here tomorrow.
Busted Sim, I also didn't mind the Battlestar Galactica finale, though. Yeah, I know that a lot of people did. I've never totally understood that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that when I got to it, I knew I was supposed to hate it, and then I watched it, and I was like, I don't understand.
I know, I didn't get it.
When I got to the end of Dexter, I got 10 minutes before the ending, and I went, I don't know why everybody hates this, and then I watched the last 10 minutes, and I went, oh, now I see why everyone hates this.
Yeah. More.
He says, good thing I think Discovery and Star Trek Picard are trash, because he says he has hot takes on everything else. Well, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't have to understand it. Delete the spectators. Oh, it's eliminate the spectators. I don't think I've ever seen anybody cosplay any of these baseball costumes, but they should.
I don't know why he would have asked necessarily for that caveat, though. Why wouldn't they have done at least a practice in front of spectators?
Oh my god, Cassidy's hat's huge.
Maybe because
destroy the opposition.
And Brandon, I think this is kind of strange too. My assumption is it's because they never agreed on whether or not there would be people in the stands, and I don't know why Saval would even think to put people in the stands. You'd think that he would be the one that would set this up and not have spectators in the stands.
But Saval would know that that's part of baseball, just like Cisco knows that's part of baseball.
It's part of professional baseball, or just playing a real team sport in front of people. But there's nobody here. Why would they necessarily have spectators?
Because that's what I'm saying. It's the air of baseball. You don't have baseball without that.
Is it also the air of basketball? basketball. Like if I went up to somebody and challenged them to a basketball game, and we went out on a court somewhere, nobody would expect spectators.
have people
That's
here. We can't play
different
this
though,
game
because you're
without
not
people.
usually challenging somebody to a game of baseball. You're usually playing, and it's in front of people.
Yeah, but even if you did, no, it would only be if there was an actual league with teams.
Actual league, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If I went and challenged somebody to a baseball game right now, we would. Well, I might if I like had some people that like to play baseball.
Well,
Oh.
maybe.
And then I knew somebody that also knew some people that like to play baseball.
But I feel like
it's not as likely to happen. But I'm just saying,
what
like, if
I'm
you
kinda-
did,
it's not as likely, and like you're more likely to be playing in front of spectators for baseball.
I don't agree with that. I think
Okay.
I just don't agree with that. I think
Look at
only
that.
if you're actually like in some kind of a league. It's like any other sport.
Well, another thing that Cisco says earlier in the episode is that every one of them that has been to a baseball game with him on the Hollow Suite before, he's taken at least every one of them to one of them, so they would know about the spectator thing at the very least.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be used to playing in front of them. And again, I think it makes sense for Cisco to have not even thought of Saval of all people is going to have the spectators in the stands in the holodeck. I always thought that was really weird. Like not. I mean, I see the point you're making, but I didn't think it was weird that they didn't practice in front of them. I thought it was weird that Saval wanted them.
Oh,
Right.
Saval knows how much this game means to Cisco at that point, so I think therein lies the thing.
Maybe the program is just pre-programmed to always have
Pre-programmed to have
spectators.
spectators.
Well, that's what I'm
unless you tell
saying.
it not
is
to.
He definitely
Maybe that's what it is.
He's definitely tailored it
I don't
to
know.
Cisco.
Okay.
His program in his mind is perfect. Cisco's asking him to make a change. That's another problem for the Vulcan, I feel like.
I don't think so, because he didn't seem to have any problem with doing that. He's like, we're going to win regardless. I'm not really worried about it. Like, he very
Right.
quickly turned off the spectators. Didn't have any issue with it. Yeah, but I also did not realize that Worf was left-handed. And if you think about it,
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
see a lot of Star Trek characters having to do things that would make it clear whether they were right or left-handed, because they never have to do any
Right.
handwriting or anything. Jason just wrote, "Now I know how to play baseball."
Yeah.
Jason, do you remember this episode? I've shown
No.
you this a long time ago, but I don't know. I don't know if you remember it. Hey, Adam, can you help out a 49er? We watched that episode in club. That was the first episode we watched on the show. Well, no, it was the second episode we watched on the show.
Have
Sorry.
people made these hats? Can you buy them?
I don't know. Like I said, I would have expected I would have seen somebody cosplay this by now.
Huh?
Cisco's about to do something
Musical.
stupid.
Or
That's a great line.
regenerating.
Oh, Jason doesn't like this episode. Oh, okay. I think it's a lot of fun. Is it because you're watching it with your mom and she's complaining about it? Because I know your mom's not a huge fan of this episode.
You're out of here.
And see, this is fun because Cisco's probably thinking like, oh, now I wish I'd gotten somebody less objective.
Doing it in the stand.
That's a great performance right there.
The Alchemist, am I the only one here that had their parents trot you out in T-ball weekly in the heat and hated it? Year after year, all the way into 12th grade, I hated it. You had to play T-ball in the 12th grade?
He's probably paying
I'm just
regular
kidding.
baseball at that point.
Right.
Uh,
Mr. Roboto, Jason, baseball is a thing that exists. I think Jason realizes that baseball is a thing that exists. Jason just wrote, shut up, Odo. What are you standing around for?
well, no, because no one's ever played this game before.
The other problem with Cisco putting together, as you said earlier, a ragtag group of people that have never played this game before, is that Saval is it, what is his name?
What is his name?
So-called.
Yeah, you guys kept calling him Sobal. I'm like, isn't that the guy from Enterprise?
No, it is. No, but it was something. It's like that. That's why I said it was like an Enterprise name. Anyway, but that Vulcan was making a big deal out of why Vulcans are supposed to be superior to humans. Right. He's got like a whole like racist thing about humans.
Right.
So shouldn't Cisco have a team of humans? Like all humans?
All humans.
Right?
A fancy Dan.
Because he wasn't making it. His paper didn't have anything to do with
like that now.
With Vulcans are superior to everybody with their logic. And I guess if the idea was supposed to just be like Cisco is logically inferior to me, and I'm blaming that on his being human, then okay. But then he should have a team of a bunch of people that aren't just Vulcans. Then
right.
Because it's like, well, I can coach my team better than you can coach your team, and then it's just him versus Cisco. So he should have a group.
So in fact, should just have people from his ship.
And more than that, to be even, to be fair, they should both have to be coaching a team of people who have never played the game before.
Never played the game before, right? And then that would make. Then he wouldn't have a ship full of Vulcans either, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
And keep in mind, Edward, I haven't seen Battlestar Galactica in a decade. $5 super chat. I hated Battlestar Galactica's ending because answers to questions amounted to God's responsible for everything. That's a cop-out, and I felt cheated. And I don't remember that.
There's a whole thing with like angels or some nonsense like that.
Okay.
Where like Starbuck came back after being dead. That was nonsense.
Okay.
But then being on prehistoric Earth, that didn't bother me.
See, I thought that was the thing that everybody hated was that you find out at the end that Earth is there, and I kind of was okay with that ending, but yeah, this is hilarious.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
He should have ran sooner. Maybe.
Yes. And Nog should have just tagged them all. Like they said, tag them all. Like, don't stand there and just look around.
He's just taking forever. Also, what would stop you from tagging two at a time, Brandon? Because you don't have to hit him with the ball, do you?
Yeah, you have to touch them with the ball.
With the ball?
Uh-huh.
Is
that's
how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a thing I didn't know.
Yeah, he
otherwise
didn't
everyone could just like gang up on the player running and just like, oh, you're surrounded.
He just kept running.
I think it would be really funny. Hear me out on this, Brandon. I think it would be really funny if Cisco had chewing tobacco, and then somebody asked him about it and was like,
to tobacco.
I also thought it would have been fun if instead of Odo, you had Vic Fontaine being the referee. But I mean, I'm glad we did it with Odo. Right. But it's like if you had a hologram do it, then you wouldn't have to risk somebody not having time to memorize all the moves.
Right.
Like they're lucky that Odo's really good at memorizing things.
Right.
Because if you think about it, like, that's not an easy job, and they don't have very long to learn it.
Right.
So the idea that, like, in a week, like, I guess, like, sort of by Odo can do it.
You know, his team's never played in front of a crowd before. This guy's never even played.
Yep. But yeah, see, the whole reason they contrived that, spectator thing in the first place is just so they can do that scene.
Yeah.
Mr. Roboto, Odo be too good at baseball, Cap. Yeah, they couldn't have him actually play. That's a good point. Although, would that be any more unfair than an entire team of physically superior Vulcans?
Right. Oh, they brought back the spectators.
Well, yeah, for Rom.
For Rom.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Did you take a break and I didn't notice it? Did you
No, I was
get up
reading
and
something
I thought
about
you were
the
there the whole
episode.
time? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a whole
Okay.
conversation.
Did you did you transport away? I don't know what happened there.
Sorry.
Edward Bedore, I had to stop myself so I wouldn't turn every comment I made into a Battlestar Galactica ending rant. I don't want to drag down people who liked it. No, it's okay. Again, you're totally entitled to your opinion. But I haven't seen it in forever, so I can't
I haven't
comment.
watched it in 10 years.
Any
I have no
same
idea.
here.
Yeah.
I did a binge of that right before I started the channel. So in 08 or 09, I watched that show.
Look at the ball rolling. There it goes. Run.
Yeah.
The base.
Jason, how do you not like this episode? You're just wrong, son.
So far, so great.
I really thought you'd kind of enjoy this one.
Oh, he threw to home. I wouldn't.
Oh well.
I see why. Make the run.
Gotta stop Ron from. Stop the run.
Where should he have thrown it?
If it was,
Granted.
He could have gotten Rom out.
but they have 0 outs, so it wouldn't have made sense to go for Rom because that would have only resulted in 1 out, and they would have scored another run.
It's just right.
And also the Vulcans already won by 1,000,000 points.
Yeah.
Mr. Romano says Jason might be a soccer fan. Jason does really like soccer. Now that was just dumb. Why would he be stupid enough to do that? I get he's trying to hide his emotions and he's bad at it, but really? He's gonna touch the Empire, really?
You're gone.
Alright.
I love when Oda says, "You're gone."
Jason says I am and basketball. Jason really likes basketball.
Here it is. It's the best part.
And also, it wasn't really fair that they all got to be Vulcans. That's always been my big complaint about this episode. Is I don't know why Cisco agreed to that.
Yeah.
Because it's dumb if you're trying to prove that you're on equal footing in anything but intellectually.
Right.
You know? Or that, emotions are not a bad thing to have, anything like this.
Right.
It would be stupid if you're I want to prove to those Vulcans I can run as fast as them. Well, you can't, so you're dumb.
Right. That's a.
Jason says, what is the point of this episode? I guess it's okay.
Here it is. Here it is. Here's our favorite part.
We should have gotten alcoholic drinks for this occasion.
Here it is.
Manufactured triumph. We say that
Here's to
all
the finest
time.
manufactured triumph in Starfleet.
I don't know. Cisco needed more episodes like this. Just a little lighter. And I really like what he does for Rom.
Yeah.
It's pretty touching.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I really
it's
like
great.
how they got into the spirit of this.
Well, yeah, and especially
It is.
that Vulcan's dumb because it's almost like it didn't even occur to him that they weren't playing against humans the whole time. Is he
Right.
that racist? He doesn't even know what?
Yeah.
That's very silly.
Was it like-
Starfleet branded baseball, like you said. That's hilarious.
See that random alien guy in the back looking around like he has no idea what's going on? What are these people talking about?
Yeah.
That's an interesting shot.
Why is
Worf.
Quark's name in quotes?
Worf is all caps.
Why
and
is
just
it-
Worf.
So I guess okay, so here's why that's funny. I guess they must have had each of the actors sign their character name, and Armin Shimmerman must have already been so used to signing Quark at conventions next to his name that he put quotation marks around Quark because that's how the actors always
Oh my
sign.
goodness, that's hilarious.
Right? That's what happened?
Gotta be what happened.
Oh, that's
my
hilarious. And they just
goodness.
let it go? They missed
No.
it somehow? Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and spin the wheel now and find out what our second episode is gonna be, and then we'll take a little 5-minute break, I think, and come back and watch our second episode. And we'll let you guys, in the meantime, put in any discussion topics you might have, and we'll answer one kind of briefly. So we'll just pick one out of whatever comes up and talk for just a couple minutes before the next episode, so that we're not, here too late. All right, so let's. Oh, not the Captain Logan show. What am I doing here? Hold on. All right, let's find out what our episode is. Are you nervous, Brandon?
I am apprehensive.
Gonna be code of honor.
He's apprehensive. He doesn't even want to be here. He's gonna leave.
I'm anxious.
All right. No! No!
Wow. Oh, well, it was bound to happen. Get it out of the way early.
Well, I was having fun. This is the episode of Star Trek that has most made me depressed in the past. Man, when this aired, I just I don't want to talk to anybody for 24 hours, man.
5 years.
Oh God, 5 years. I just didn't speak to anybody. Okay, we're gonna watch the series finale of Enterprise, you guys.
Yep.
We had to do it.
Who put that on the wheel?
Do it.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me either. Somebody put that on the wheel. I
from
think
chat.
no, it was a super chat. Oh man, you guys, I can't believe we have to do that. But to Sam, I like Enterprise, but no one likes this episode. Maybe somebody does. I haven't met anybody. It's really awful. And we're gonna talk about all the reasons, and I'm gonna bring down some lettuce and cabbage to throw at my screen too. Anyway, well, let's take a little break. You guys leave any discussion topics or questions that you might want to chat about, and maybe that'll be a couple of minutes of fun before the 45 minutes of torture that we're about to have.
Yeah.
Well, we can still talk about anything through the episode.
Yeah, well, that's we'll just avoid even talking about these.
I mean, that's happened.
We're gonna turn it on and then not look at it. I'm just gonna do this the whole time, and then just look at you guys and we'll just talk. Okay, yeah, stuff of nightmares. It's gonna be great.
I always think it's fun to mention, that this is not necessarily more talking in Star Trek Club over an episode than we had in the physical group.
It is
a little bit, but not much.
Okay, we'll be right back. 5-minute break. If anybody comes in late and is curious as to why we're not on the screen, would you guys in the comments just let people know we're taking a little break right now? I should make a break
back in 5
screen.
minutes.
A break background.
But I don't have one right now. I'll do that for maybe next time if I remember it. Okay. Once again, would you guys please leave a discussion topic or two, and we'll talk about something when we get back. All right. Be right back.
All right.
All right. And we're back, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Adam.
Hello.
Are you ready to answer a question and then watch the worst series finale of anything ever? Well, not maybe anything, but really close. Really up there.
It could be a run.
Is it as bad as the Dexter finale that everybody says?
It's probably not, but it's made
Roseanne
worse by the
finale.
fact that it's the ending of a 17-year run.
Right.
You know, that makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Like, the final stuff that you're left with is just insulting. Because they treat it like a love letter to everything they did, and it's really just. You remember back when we were doing TNG and people liked what we were making?
Yeah.
Here's some characters you like.
And at the end of and just adding stuff to an episode that doesn't even make any sense to add to. Let's talk about something else for just a couple of minutes.
And everybody looked completely different from when they were on the episode because they gained a lot of weight.
Oh yeah, Alchemist, thanks for that comment. He says, I am new here, but not really. I watch most of your YouTube videos for years, but I am here moving Warp 6. I don't know what moving Warp 6 means. But thanks for being here. And for commenting. Okay, let's see. Snuffles writes, what did the wheel land on before they went on break?
And now we've already told you that little bit about the episode, and you don't know what episode it is.
These are the Voyages, the last episode of Enterprise. Enjoy. Do your best. Let me see. I'm sorry, there's a few things here, and I just want to see what all the questions are.
I was just thinking about Jolene Blaylock talking crap on this episode.
Yeah, well, she was right. She was right, and she didn't have anything to lose at that point.
Yeah.
Busted Sim, we've talked enough about how bad New Trek is. I don't really feel like doing that right now. Somebody said they had a good one earlier, and I can't find it. Oh, also from Busted Sim. More Enterprise, Romulan War arc, yes or no? So there was almost a series of Romulan War movies after Enterprise. That nearly happened, and you can read about it in the 50-year mission. There's a whole section on movies that didn't get made but almost did between the TNG movies and the Abrams movies, and there was a whole like really smart sounding trilogy planned that ended up not happening. And
was Berman behind that?
No, it was somebody else entirely. It was I don't know who was spearheading it, but it was supposed to be, I don't remember who it was. It was a science fiction writer that had never done anything with Star Trek, who was not a big Star Trek fan, but cared a lot about making the continuity work because he knew that fans cared about that. It sounded really interesting because tonally it was going to be a totally different flavor than we'd ever gotten from anything. I mean, it was going to be like a real series of war movies, and I think it was supposed to be like now that I'm remembering this, like an ancestor of Kirk's. I do believe, but anyway, you can read about that in the 50-year mission. So that almost happened. I always wanted that to happen. It's weird that we still have not dramatized the Earth-Romulan War. That seems to be like the big, like canonical event that people are most interested in seeing actually happen. The problem with it, of course, is that if you do it within, on the same terms as Enterprise, you have to retcon some things and make up some weird stuff to make that conflict work with something closer to technology that makes sense to extrapolate from the 20th century, or from late 20th century, early 21st, as opposed to the 60s. And we've talked about this whole thing before, where the Romulans, we didn't know what they looked like because they didn't have ship-to-ship communications.
Radio thing, yeah.
But then you can't do that if Enterprise is going to extrapolate from what we were doing in the early 2000s, so there's that. There is a series of books that chronicle the Earth-Romulan War the way it would have been like maybe in Enterprise if that had been handled in a Season 5, Season 6. It would have been like another year or two before you would have gotten to it. It's kind of weird because if that show had stayed on, if it had been on for 7 seasons, we would have run into when that was supposed to happen. And because I believe it happens before the Federation fully comes together. Am I right about that, or is it right after?
I think
don't
so. I can't remember the date.
But anyway, I started reading one of the books about that, and I haven't gotten very far. But that, if anybody's interested in that does exist. If you want to see Archer deal with the Earth-Romulan War. But anyway, so to answer your question,
he probably makes it worse.
I still really wish that that had happened, and it might have been interesting to see how Manny Koto would have handled it. As far as more Enterprise now, it would be kind of silly to try to go back and bring those actors back and do anything with that at this point. But I certainly wish at the time it had gone for another season, because it took too long, but it was finally kind of finding its footing, finding its legs.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to say I would think that show ever could have been like anything close to the best show, but it could have gotten better than Voyager pretty easily. Yeah. And I would argue that it never quite got better than Voyager.
Right. I remember reading that JMS from Babylon 5 was talking about trying to do a Star Trek show or a movie or something at one point.
So he had a movie pitch. No, he had a TV pitch right before the Abrams Trek thing ended up happening. And I don't know what his pitch was, and I don't know if it was ever public. And I don't believe that the 50-year mission goes into that deeply, which makes me think that there probably was never even a full pitch.
Okay.
But I don't know that for sure. And it's been a while since I read that.
I remember hearing him talk about it, like saying it was going to go like back to basics of TOS or something like that, but I don't really know what that means. And I don't think he really explained what that means either.
Of course, the big thing, and I've talked about this before, but the biggest reason that I would have wanted Enterprise to continue on, well, partly because it's, and maybe they started that show too early in the timeline, because it's really weird that we have to just jump ahead several years in this finale to finally see the Federation happen, and the previous episode is, in a lot of people's minds, including mine, the real finale, because Archer has finally a decent speech. Archer never has good speeches, and he gives a decent speech about the Coalition, which you know is going to become the Federation later, so you essentially get that. But, you know, A, that would have been nice. B, Shran was supposed to be a series regular in Season 5. And I always really wanted to see that. And it wasn't fair that Jeffrey Combs never got that. And he was finally going to get that. He would have forevermore been in that show as a series regular, probably. And we didn't get that. I also know that there was supposed to be a prequel to the Cloudminders. They were supposed to go to that planet.
That would have been cool.
That could have been neat. So we would have gotten more fun TOS stuff. Yeah. And whenever they actually did TOS stuff under Manny Koto, it was really solid. And even before that, like, the one thing that Enterprise absolutely nails above everything else is the Andorians. What they do with them is spectacular. But when they went back and gave us the Organians and made a big reveal in Observer Effect, that this is spoiler alert for that, but that the aliens that are taking over people's bodies in that turn out to actually be the Organians before they have come up with kind of their own prime directive. Or basically they have our prime directive and then we accidentally convince them to meddle in people's affairs, which is the reason that they do that later in TOS. It's awesome. So I would have loved more TOS stuff because Manny Koto seemed to have a really good handle on that series. So anyway, all right, well, let's go ahead and, I'm stalling, but let's go ahead and do this. All right, so these are the Voyages. It's the last episode of Enterprise. It will make you cry, probably, if you've never seen it before.
Cry with tears of joy.
I'm sure. It's episode 22 of Season 4 of Enterprise. Welcome to the most counterintuitive thing until Star Trek Discovery. Here we go. Everybody, please press play. Wait.
I gotta get it up. Sorry. I didn't have it up. Let me pull
How much time did you have? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Alchemist says fasten your seatbelt.
How much time did you have?
Let's see. There we go.
We're just going to start without you.
You can get a timestamp later.
Get into the timestamp. All right, I'm at timestamp 0.
Okay. This episode is a whole minute longer now because of...
Yeah, we should be. I was going to say we should be at timestamp 1.
I'm totally kidding. All right, everybody, please press play right now. So now everybody has their names on their outfits for some reason.
Oh, yeah. And Hoshi's hair looks weird.
They do that whole... Yeah, she looks like Empress Sato now.
I know.
She's got a similar hairstyle.
They have epaulets on their uniforms for some reason now.
Well, here's the reason, okay? The reason is when you jump ahead and in time in a Star Trek finale or anything in Star Trek, you have to do some different thing with the uniforms. And usually we do that with time travel stories. And you might have at first expected this to be a time travel story because it's in the future. It's a finale of a Star Trek show set in the future, which means we have to reverse it at the end. But that's not what we're doing. In fact, we're just on the holodeck right now. Yeah. And all of this stuff. All this stuff happened.
It happened.
But, don't tell me it didn't happen. I was there on the holodeck. So, let me just throw out a bunch of stupid things right away. One stupid thing is that Riker and Troy look a whole lot older than they're supposed to, of course, because we decided to go back to Pegasus, which we watched. I think that was our first episode of this club, or we watched it with the Discord, but I can't remember if we actually recorded it. When this was first announced, what we knew was that the finale was going to include Riker and Troy, and that it was going to be Enterprise in the holodeck. And a lot of people were, of course, already kind of concerned about that premise. I thought it might have been kind of neat in sort of bridging the gap between the two eras. I mean, I guess you didn't really need to do that, but just in ending, because, Star Trek itself was ending, and so it kind of made sense that if you could find a clever way to do it that didn't, throw your characters from this show under the bus, you might want to do that. And the assumption I made, which I think was a completely reasonable assumption, even back then, this is like 15 years ago now, I said, oh, we're going to be on the Titan. Like, of course, right? Like, Nemesis was just a couple years before this. And, of course, if you bring Riker and Troy back, specifically, and only them, of course what we're going to do is an episode of them on the Titan, and we don't have enough money to build that whole set, so we'll just do a holodeck thing where they're on the Titan, right? Nope, that's not what we did. We're going to just hope that the audience can suspend their disbelief enough to be okay with how much completely different they look being back in TNG era. And it wouldn't be as big of a deal if it was a totally other episode, or sorry, if it wasn't an episode, but the problem is, you're throwing us back into a specific episode, even. That makes it way worse.
So that Enterprise, that shot, it had way too many stars that were way too close to the hull of the Enterprise as it was flying.
That was kind of weird.
It was really weird.
It looked like it was stardust coming up.
So nobody should buy this many people being in 10 forward in the episode Pegasus. First of all, I don't...
some random stock footage.
Yeah. Because first of all, I don't know why there's this many people on the ship right now. Like, I know that there's a lot of people, but it looks like there's like random ambassadors and people walking around.
You could see, and it's funny, weird. You could see like the difference because it was film and video. You could see like there was more grain on the footage there. They did an okay job recreating the sets. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
they had torn down.
And then we should probably mention real quick, because I don't want to get too far into this, just that if you go back and watch Pegasus, like Riker going into the holodeck to interact with the Enterprise characters in order to help him make his decision of like how to break this to Picard, like what's going on with Pressman, doesn't actually track. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know when he would have even done it. Like, it doesn't even fit in that episode. I don't know when he would have had time.
He didn't have time to do this. Right. It's bizarre.
And it doesn't seem like he's mulling it over and having difficulty deciding what he's going to do. Like, he's certainly conflicted when he's in the room and Picard's dressing him down, but you don't get the sense that like he's got any like soul searching that he does before he walks in that room.
Right.
I don't get it.
So this episode, so Star Trek premiered, or Next Generation premiered shortly before or after I was born.
Yeah.
In the fall of '87, and this episode aired the year
you died,
like the month I graduated high school.
Oh,
yeah.
And I was already out of high school 2 years.
Yeah.
I saw In a Mirror Darkly, the first part of it, in a hotel room when I was on a trip for a like jazz music festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was all super bittersweet, too, where I just know we've got, like, a few episodes and then there's no more Star Trek.
Yeah.
That sucked. One thing I guess is sort of clever is we have this running gag in the show where we never see Chef, and then Riker's going to come in and be Chef. That's kind of clever.
Right.
We finally get to see somebody be Chef. It's like a loophole.
So, Brandon, you should have worn your uniform that you're always talking about.
I was already thinking about that. I'm really wishing I had, but I didn't know we were going to watch an Enterprise episode.
Look what it is, Cap. Archer's door.
It's Archer's door.
Oh, wow.
We had somebody in our old Star Trek club who did Santa Replicator once, and the answer that she had was the most obscure thing ever. Archer's door. Like, how is that relevant? We never stop laughing about that. Alchemist says my conversation with Adam is more interesting. Well, yeah, but don't give me too much credit, because that's not hard. This is such a hackneyed story. They got to go on this kind of, BS trip to go try to get Shran's daughter that we didn't know about, and everybody thought Shran was dead, but he's not. Am I remembering that?
His daughter, one of the ice Andorians, I can't remember what they're called. Anar, is that what they're called?
Is she an Anar?
I think she is. Part Anar.
Oh, you know what? If he got together with the girl from the Anar arc,
yes,
then that would If that's what happened, that's cool.
I'm pretty sure.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, first of all, it's unfair to the show not to do a 2-hour finale. That's the first thing.
All right.
They all get 2-hour finales except for this one, and we got, again, a pretty decent, for this show anyway, 2-parter right before this.
I don't understand why UPN even canceled this. It's not like they had any other shows. They had what did UPN ever have but this? But I mean, maybe the whole CW thing was in the pipe at this point, and they're like, maybe we don't have room on our schedule.
I think that had something to do with it, and I'm a little bit rusty on all of this, but again, that's all discussed also in the 50-year mission. In those interviews, they actually did not cancel the show because of ratings. I know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's because they just got tired. They wanted a clean slate and bring in Abrams and stuff, or what?
I think it had. Am I remembering this right? I think it had something to do with the Viacom split. I think
really?
That killed Star Trek, and then also brought it back in the weirdest, most unfortunate way possible.
Weird.
But I don't know if I'm right about that.
I know they were doing
Alchemist
the
claims it had something to do with UPN
time.
not wanting to give it money anymore, but I'm not sure if that's what it was. I think it had. I think it had something to do with that Viacom split, but I don't know if that had just happened or not. I'm fuzzy on the history.
It was right around this time. It was either 05 or 06. There's Porthos, who we were talking about earlier. The most compelling character on this show, by the way.
Also, I think that might have been a different dog, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
Yeah, they switched dogs on this show.
That didn't look anything like
it was way smaller when it first premiered.
Yeah.
So,
we're gonna... Ooh, look at that pineapple. That looks tasty.
Yeah.
There is... So, if you've never seen this episode before, I want to kind of set you up for this so you can brace yourself. You're gonna see one of the most contrived and hackneyed ways to kill off a character ever.
Yes, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's insanely bad.
Beard. Look at Riker's beard. It looks weird. It's like cut differently.
It's cut all
thinner
the way down.
On the side.
Yeah.
Alchemist says this episode is better with you folks, not so bad so far. It's gonna get rough. So we're gonna get to a scene here in a little bit where they're gonna try to fake us out to make us think that Tucker's gonna die in a scene, and then he won't, and then he's gonna die later, and he should have died in that scene, because if he'd just gotten like blasted by some aliens, like I'd buy him actually getting killed there, but it's actually gonna be like the dumbest epic sacrifice, like personal sacrifice you've ever seen. And I just don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that. Edward Bador, sorry, Riker, but a chef suit...
He's waving knives around. Look at that.
Yeah.
A chef suit is a chef suit. Nothing slimming about it. Yeah, that's fair. T'Pol should not still be in a cat suit. T'Pol should finally be in a uniform. She also should have been in a uniform.
Cat suit to begin with.
No, I know. But especially by this point, how long has she had a Starfleet commission, and why is she able to wear a uniform that's not like anybody else's uniforms?
Well, again, so did Deanna Troi for the majority of the run for Next Generation.
Okay, But she's...
But I don't know why. She's the commander. I don't know why she gets away with it.
But she's the first officer on a starship.
Right.
Also, you say get away with it. It doesn't look more comfortable than what they're wearing. Why would she rather be wearing that?
It looks uncomfortable.
No, nothing about that makes any sense.
He just
Why did he do that?
Holodeck to Paul there.
Because he feels sympathy that her not really boyfriend is about to die, I guess.
Okay.
And then here's some people that got killed
on the Pegasus.
Oh, we could
actually
read
recreated
about
that
them.
too. Look at that.
Wow.
Man, they spent a lot of money recreating sets for a different show.
Yeah, they sure did. I think several of these, they just pulled the old stuff out of storage and were able to kind of...
I thought they threw it all away. They still had it? That's crazy.
I think they had some of it, but I may be wrong about that. Again, some of this I haven't talked about, or I haven't read about in a while. Yeah. Well, yeah, and yes, Alchemist 7 of 9 had a cat suit, and obviously she was, every one of these shows has to have a sex symbol, except for DS9, which didn't have that at all. But
DS9 didn't have that. Though they kind of did it a little bit with Kira's redesign of her uniform, maybe, but it really wasn't that much.
So with 7 of 9, at least she wasn't like a regular crew member. Like, she never had a commission. It wouldn't make sense to give her a uniform, and they made the excuse of... We've talked about this recently with Voyager episodes we've watched, that she had to have like a special suit to help her acclimate with her Borg implants. And then with TNG, again, it was just that she's a counselor and she's supposed to be the sex symbol, so I guess she gets to wear a different thing.
It was she gave something about it makes patients feel more relaxed around me if they don't see the uniform.
That's
I'm
what
like,
it is.
They're all wearing the same uniform.
And then you remember when Jellicoe shows
Why
up?
would you?
And Jellicoe makes her put on a uniform.
Yes, Jellicoe.
And then I think when she finally gets her commander rank, she starts wearing that uniform.
She does.
And so she looks better in it. Who'd have thought? Busted Sim, this episode apparently has a good blooper where Riker asks Malcolm if he loves Trip and reads actor remarks on what a personal question that was. That's hilarious. Everybody working on this knew the script was not good. And Marina Sirtis and Frakes are doing their level best, but they know it too. And you can tell.
Yeah.
And everybody in the 50-year mission is in agreement that this was a bad idea and that it didn't work, including Berman and Braga, who were kind of apologetic about it. Everybody knew this was a bad idea as they were making it. And can you imagine, like, being these actors and, having your characters treated like this?
Right.
Where, like, in the last episode of your show, you're just being holograms. And you're not... you're jumping ahead several years, and you're not even building that much on, stuff that your characters have been going through.
Right, that happened over the past season or so.
And the show got a lot arcier and a lot more serialized.
Can I also point out that if you're not in this area of the holodeck, these conversations wouldn't be happening. Like, you're not there for the program. The program's not just running in these other areas.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's true. But that also happens a lot anyway.
That's true.
In particularly the show, but also just a lot of Star Trek in general.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, there's an audience, and here but you're right. Like, you notice it more. But you notice the exposition heads more because there is a physical audience also standing in the room with them.
Right.
Alchemist says that death scene is coming up. Not quite yet. We've got to get a firefight first.
Is this a fake death?
Yeah, there's going to be a fake death where they're going to have a firefight with some random aliens of some random spaceship. Or, excuse me, some random species. Oh, and that made it worse because we already know he's going to die.
Right.
And then they try to fake us out. Oh, it's not going to be in this scene. It's going to be a later scene. Where he's going to do this ruse that he absolutely did not have to do.
Right.
Make these aliens... we haven't seen them yet, but when we get there, Adam, make those aliens more physically imposing and make them look harder really to deal with.
They look like... what are they? They look like just dumb space pirates or
They
something.
look like you could beat them hand to hand. Like, no...
Yeah.
You just get some... security officers down and you're good. Like, I don't get it. Maybe if they had been Suleiman or something.
Yeah.
I think the color scheme is a little bit off in the corridors.
It is a little bit off, and her uniform's a little too green.
Snuffles says, my antenna envy is back. I love that they move. They hide wires under the forehead prosthetic. And they did the same thing, interestingly, at exactly the same time in 01 with Patrick Warburton's The Tick. They designed technology, I think, separately for each of these shows that have antennae that move in the same year, which I don't think had really been done before. With a remote control that somebody's using off-set to control the antennae.
Merriweather, who we never really got any character development for.
He didn't get a lot to do. His character development was, I had a family, and I grew up on a ship, my dad died, and it was sad. That's kind of what we know. These jackets are awesome. And
they do look good. I like those jackets. I like that one.
I like the uniforms in the show in general. I still think doing rank pips before TOS is silly, but beyond that, I like them a lot.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I got
you like it. We know you have one.
Real quick, we got it, Brandon. You have an outfit. We know. It's not like every time we watch a TNG episode, I'd be like, "Look, I got an outfit, you guys."
I'm not even the one that brought it up.
You're bringing it up now. So, Cinematographic, we are watching the last episode of Enterprise. He just got in and didn't know what we were watching. These are the voyages, timestamp 1704, 1705. I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm just messing with you.
This show.
What point were you making about the outfits?
Just that's why I chose it, because they're a prettier outfit, I feel like, than some of the other ones we've gotten.
This show made way more use of actual computer rendering graphics for the graphics on the panels than any other Star Trek show.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a mixed effect. I don't know. I still think some of just the cutout backlit stuff maybe sometimes looks better on the other shows,
But it gives it a sense of authenticity to some degree.
It does feel like
Oh, look, we're bookending the show because we had a big firefight on an ice planet in the pilot, and now we're going to have one in this. See, it's like symmetry, Adam.
Isn't it the same planet? Didn't they go to Rigel before?
Is it the same planet? Is it really?
That's what he says, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
He says, isn't it poetic justice because this is the first place we visited and it's the last place we're visiting.
I didn't realize that. Okay. That's really contrived then.
Look at these guys. Look, is that Kazon?
Make them anything else. Make them a Nausicaan. Make it, and I'm not complaining that they're a species we've never seen before, but like, and also we've never really done Rigelians like as a thing. Are these supposed to be Rigelians?
I don't know what they are.
This was
Michael Westmore's last work in Star Trek, probably.
Yeah, it must have been. Yes, Edward Bedore, you're right about this, and that is a point that SF Debris made when he reviewed this episode, that the use of poetic justice makes no sense. Full circle is the phrase you use, damn it. That's what he says, and I agree with that. Yeah, no, it's not poetic justice. It doesn't make any sense. You could have called it poetic, that's okay, but the word justice makes no sense. It's not like nobody's paying for anything.
And there's a giant diamond. You find it, Michael?
That looks so dumb.
It looks like the Batman. It looks like the diamond at the beginning of Batman and Robin.
I could go out and buy one of those in any corner drugstore.
or at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
My God. It looks like plastic. It looks like a giant ring pop.
I don't know if she is part A&R. Did they come out and say who her mother is? Did they actually say that?
She shows up later.
Okay, but she... So is she, like, half-blind then? Or, like, shouldn't she be partially... Shouldn't she have eye problems?
I swear to God, she's part A&R. But maybe she's not. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to look this up. What is her name?
I don't know. Just write in Shran's daughter in the crappiest episode of Enterprise.
So what they went with this giant diamond?
And that's saying something. I mean, at least it's not boring like some other Enterprise episode, I guess. But...
Okay, she is a hybrid offspring of an Andorian and Anar.
Oh,
but she has fully functional eyesight, seemingly, but her skin's greener.
See?
And her mother...
Somebody else also thought it was weird that she didn't have eyesight problems if she's an Anar. What a great effect.
Yeah, her mother
what
is the episode, or the woman from the episode.
It's the episode The Game where the Data shines the light.
Yeah, it's flash grenades.
Stop running around. The Alchemist, it ended this bad? I never revisit. Yeah, and it'll get worse. Look, now Riker's shooting.
Oh, right.
He's part of it.
Oh, that guy fell into some giant gears.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so... I guess they have him as part of this action just because he's supposed to be kind of our eyes-in character. Like, sometimes he's just observing, and sometimes he's part of the action. Mm-hmm. And I understand when he's wanting to directly discuss something with someone because the whole point of this is supposed to be he's getting advice for what he's going to do with Pressman. But why is he in this firefight? Why is he shooting on people?
He's letting out steam. People. I don't understand that.
Also, why does Riker need to... Well, yeah, but again... He doesn't have time to do that. And also, he also knows the history. He's read about all this. He knows what's about to happen. Or at least Troy did. So, why does he need to be in every scene except for our benefit?
Like, what can he tell...
This whole situation is so insanely hackneyed. I mean, I know I said that, but it is.
What can they tell him? I really don't understand as far as advice. For his current predicament. I always kind of like the shuttle pods of Enterprise.
Bus is in, that's hilarious. He says, man, this holodeck shooter is mostly cutscenes.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome. Stephen Murphy, one of the people who provided music for this show is Kevin Kiner. He's worked on a couple things over the years, including Superboy. Oh, interesting. Known nowadays for providing the score for Clone Wars and Rebels. Okay. Well... we talk about this all the time, me and Adam, but you weren't really allowed to do much like actual writing in the music. Yeah. Like it all kind of had to sound the same.
Direction had to sound like.
So a lot of it doesn't really matter who wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with Superboy, are we talking about the '80s Superboy?
I assume we're talking about that show. Yeah.
Yeah. That looks okay.
I don't really like it, though. The first shot we got of the Enterprise D did not look great. It looked overly modified.
But it looks great for this show. Okay, so listen to what he's going to say here. It's stupid. In Season 7, no. So remember how late Pegasus is?
Right, Data wouldn't have said something like that.
Is not
right.
confused about metaphors like that anymore.
Right.
Or at least not very often. I mean, it's just really poorly written.
Yeah, it looks good, Brandon, compared to the other CGI, as in the CGI of the Enterprise as it regularly looks.
Sure.
I'm with you. It doesn't look better than the model, so you kind of wish they didn't do it. And they've still got the model, so... like. Honestly, I almost wish they had just used like stock footage from some other episode, but
they model
cut to Pegasus.
Yeah,
it would have the consistency of the image would have looked different. It would have been,
Yeah, but I mean,
filmy,
Star Trek has a long history
of
inconsistency in images.
They used it earlier, so I don't know.
And I'm not going to spend this whole time again complaining about New Trek, but I feel like a lot of. Or at least some of the issues with those newer shows, just especially in how just inauthentic they feel as Star Trek. This has some of that. You know, it sort of felt like I was picking up right after These Are the Voyages, like the mindset that Berman and Braga were in when they made this was like somehow implanted into the team for that show. The Alchemist says, as Kirk's last words. Oh my. I think he might have been responding to the Data thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mean to make fun of people like gaining weight as they get older or anything, but Riker or Frakes at this point in his life, a little bit red in the face sometimes. You do not shoot that scene with red lighting. It makes
they have the red gels on that scene. More
is that a fair thing to bring up? Like, don't do
that. Too. They never used gels like that on TNG.
That's
that was
not
a TOS
ever
thing.
what that looked like. Yeah, like what kind of mood thing did they think they were doing there? I'm sure they thought they were enhancing that thematically somehow, where it's
but that quarters
because of what
set
they're talking
always
about,
was lit with normal lights. That's because she's Mirror Hoshi.
She does look like Hoshi.
I've never seen her in anything but this show.
Me neither. I do think she was one of the better, green actors in this show. Enterprise has, in my mind, the unfortunate distinction of having the most, unproven, didn't really totally know what they were doing actors that didn't get great material, so a lot of them improved that much as actors as time went on.
I felt like they had to have a lot of really young people on this show for some reason compared to the other...
Well, remember, they gave it a CW kind of intro, so of course it had to feel like a WB show.
Yeah.
But, I've met the guy who plays Mayweather, really nice guy, don't think he's a particularly great actor. I think he's kind of on maybe a little higher than a Power Ranger level, but he's a little bit in that kind of acting range. But again, if he had been surrounded by better actors and gotten better material, he could have gotten a lot better as time moved on. I was talking about that with Smallville, where Michael Rosenbaum kind of elevated Tom Welling's performance a lot, especially when he was in a scene with him. Scott Bakula didn't do that for anybody in the show because he never really had a good take on this character. We've talked about this before.
The best actor on this show is Billingsley.
Oh yes, of course. And Phlox is a great character.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tucker's really good too.
I like Tucker.
He's a fine actor.
Yeah.
He's Southern Riker. It works great. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I wish he had been the first officer, partly just because I don't like T'Pol, but wouldn't the T'Pol thing have been better if she was actually an observer and didn't have to be the first officer?
Right.
She should have been more in that. No. See, and that also is kind of a slap in the face to this show. You have
what do you say?
Archer. After 4 years of the show, the thing is getting canceled. Remember, it's not ending. They're they're not ending it on purpose. It's getting canceled.
It's canceled.
And you have your captain of this show raise a glass and say to the next generation, No.
Oh my God.
If it being the end of a 17-year run, if Riker and Troy aren't here, if the episode was better, I would be okay with that line maybe. But the fact that you made it a TNG episode, and not even a new TNG episode, and then you have Archer say to the next generation, no. Oh God, I hate that. I forgot all about that. Okay, here it comes. Everybody,
here it is, the most ridiculous
make
guys
sure
ever.
you're sitting down.
And they look bad. Look at that guy's face. I think these guys might be some of the ugliest people in Star Trek.
Oh, and that is just a Kazon back there.
That's a Kazon, yeah. He's a Kazon that looked like he got Home Alone burned or something like that. Like the blowtorch.
It's almost like Tucker must have had a death wish and for some reason really wanted to die in the scene. It's like he had to have walked in here and planned to sacrifice himself.
That guy's a Kazon whose face got taken off by a Vidian.
No, Snuffles, it's not the race that stabbed Picard in the heart, and I mentioned this earlier, they should have just been Nausicaans. We've had Nausicaans in this show.
On this show.
And they're more physically imposing, and you would maybe buy that it would be harder for Tucker to think I could take these guys. But I'm telling you, I know he's got guns pointed at him. He could take these guys right now.
Those guns don't even look real. Look at those guns.
I mean, to be fair, none of the guns in Star Trek look real.
No, but they look really fake.
No, you're right. You're right.
They look ridiculous.
Alchemist, oh my, I had a good time. It was fun.
It was fun.
So yeah, the first time I saw this, I'm thinking, well...
Here it is.
No, I knew he had to die here because we were told he did, but I was thinking, if I didn't already know he was going to die, I would assume that this was... some other kind of clever ruse. Surely he's not going to kill himself.
He's just going to kill himself
doing this.
These guys. This is so dumb. Oh my god.
Like, it's super contrived, and it's super awkward.
Like, why did...
You couldn't come up with any other way to do this if you had to do this? And why does he need to die? Like, okay, I don't know if there's any truth to this or not. There's probably not. But this makes me... I've never thought of this before. You know how...
You got something.
You guys know about this, right? You know how Braga always intended Seven of Nine to be a tragic character, and she was supposed to die at the end of the show, and then they got cold feet.
I didn't know that.
They didn't end up doing that.
Really?
It feels almost like they got to do that with Trip because they didn't do it with Seven.
Oh, really? I didn't know that that was a plan for her.
That was what Braga always intended, yeah.
Really?
Which is one of the many reasons that I don't love what they're doing with her in Picard, but... Because it's almost... I'm not saying she should necessarily be dead, but, like...
Right.
They're trying to make her tragic in some other, like, really forced way in that show. Because they made her the Punisher.
Right. Right.
Alchemist says, I lost the timestamp, but it's over, so I can chill. No, the timestamp, it's not over, unless you're just talking about Trip being dead. 31:39.
Left.
31:41.
This is the whole episode. It's not even really have a story.
No, it doesn't.
It's just like,
that's a great point.
It's just kind of it's nothing.
Alchemist says that Tucker is the new Data. This is even more contrived than the way we kill him on. It's even worse than that. Oh, Snuffles, that's unfortunate. So Snuffles has only now seen the pilot and the finale for the show.
Oh, that's not good.
That's not good.
He's gonna put him in that thing that they always use. I don't really know what it does.
The hyperbolic chamber.
The hyperbolic
Hyperbaric chamber.
It just makes you exaggerate everything. You go in that chamber and you just keep saying blanket statements about everything.
Framed photo of himself. But that could be any scuba diver. We don't know. That's a Getty image there. Look at that.
Really? Okay. She's gonna smell his clothes?
She's smelling it. She's wearing velour in this scene. Look at that.
Snuffles says it can't be worse than how Voyager ended. No, it is. It absolutely is worse than how Voyager ended. And I don't like Endgame either. I mean, I got huge issues with that. But no, it is worse than that.
She's ironed on her patches. That's what she does. She just irons on her patches on her normal clothes.
Well, see, it's not far enough into the future yet where the patches iron on themselves, Adam.
Yeah.
So... Steve Murphy, while I haven't gone back to every show as frequently as I should, I still don't know how often I would go back to Enterprise. Maybe it'll grow on me, but I'm not compelled to go back to it as other shows. I mean, that's fair. It's just
it took me
not a great show.
3 years to watch the show when I went back to it.
Yeah. Oh, Snuffles wasn't talking about this finale. She's just talking about the rest of the show, that it can't be as bad as Voyager. It can, though.
That doesn't
Why
make
do you
sense
have
for Riker
Frankenstein?
Oh, it's worse than Voyager.
Mirror.
Voyager at least had some interesting people on it. This show doesn't really, except for Phlox, and I guess Trip is okay. He's good.
And I wanted to love Reed, but we just never did anything with him.
And then
when we get to 4 and we finally try to give him a character thing, we go, well, he's got a British accent like Bashir. Let's make him work for Section 31.
Right.
Tell me that wasn't the logic. Tell me it wasn't, he's got a British accent, so he has to be a spy. Right? That's what it was.
Right.
I also wanted to like Chakotay. I'm with you, Snuffles.
Yeah, Chakotay had potential, but it just was squandered.
Busta Sim says, Endgame tried to justify its abrupt end with that speech from Kim about the journey being more important than the destination. Yeah, but the much bigger issue was that Janeway didn't care about saving anybody except for friends.
Yeah, and the whole thing was it was a pretty good future, all things considered, and then she was going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Potentially. She could mess it all up.
I want to think...
7 of 9 was going to die.
Okay, here's...
She could accept 7 of 9's death.
Here's my new headcanon. Somehow Romulus doesn't explode if she doesn't do that. Adam, that's my new headcanon. I don't know how it works, but somehow if Janeway doesn't go back in time and change things so that 7 of 9 lives, the supernova doesn't explode.
So it's like The Visitor.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dominion War doesn't have.
That means we could blame Janeway for Abrams' Trek. And I love that, and I want to do, and we can blame Janeway for Picard too. That'd be great. Buster Sim said, "Oh God, Janeway gave us Star Trek Picard." I just thought, yes, it's Janeway's fault. Janeway turned 7 of 9 into the Punisher.
Who the heck? Meatloaf.
It's Meatloaf Day. TH1, is this why he has a pizzeria? Yeah, I want to assume that's why. I want to assume they gave him the stupid pizza thing in Picard because somebody saw him cooking once in Star Trek.
Oh, he did cook in TNG that time, and it was crap. Remember? He tried to cook an omelet, and it was bad.
Yeah, and apparently he's like a brilliant chef now.
Yeah.
He cooked those eggs. He's like, you're only as good as your ingredients.
And Worf, that's the one where Worf goes, delicious.
Yes.
Why are you eating a carrot like Bugs Bunny?
Is this actually pulling at anybody's heartstrings right now? You know? Like, again, if we had led up to this somehow, and then, like, we killed him off in an interesting and a believable and surprising way, and then we had, you know, all things being equal, let's say we had holodecks in this show, right? Because you wouldn't want to do this the way they did it. But, like, the idea of somebody dying in Star Trek and then somebody interacts with them later after they've died already in a holodeck could be cool and could make you feel something because you're getting to interact with them one more time after you know they're dead. But, like, not in this context.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to be kind of excited about getting to see these characters in a scene together because I think of Tucker as a Riker type. This looks horrible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is a PS2 graphic. Now, to be fair, it's not just this episode that has this problem. Every time in season 3 and 4 we go somewhere where somebody's supposed to have a speech, we have a horrible green screen like that.
Right.
Those are producers from the show.
Yeah, and Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens are up there
she's
somewhere.
back there. I forget who that guy is, but yeah, these are all people that worked on the show. I think
There
Manny
they are.
Koto's in there.
Garfield, Reeve Stevens,
They're wearing like their
Stevens are
regular
the redheaded
executive
lady.
clothes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are. Yeah,
They're
and
not
is
even
that
wearing
Manny Koto?
futuristic-
I think the
Koto's
guy
in the Admiral uniform
with the gray hair and the Admiral uniform.
right behind Reed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Manny Koto.
They didn't even try for futuristic outfits there. It's just
I
what
like
they wore
the
at the
Admiral
board
uniform.
meeting.
Oh no, I like those too. And I always really appreciated integrating a tie into a Star Trek suit. I thought that was
cool.
so freaking classy. I love it, and I've always wanted to cosplay that. Like, Brandon, if I got that suit, I would do an Admiral one where I get to wear a tie with it. I think that is so cool. See, isn't that
very naval, I feel like.
It is naval, yeah. But it's naval in the first place, which is why it looks like that.
But I mean, that's an extrapolation of like a Navy, like a dress suit, and
it's one of the best dress uniforms.
Okay, these pads look really bad now. They look like Palm Pilots. They have not aged.
Yeah,
it's because they had to try to make them look less good than the TNG, stuff on TNG and stuff. And
can I blow your mind? If you don't remember this, this is the year before the iPhone comes out.
Yes.
Why does Archer have rank pips on both sides?
That's how the admirals work.
Oh yeah, he's an admiral now.
Is he actually an admiral now? I didn't remember that.
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, and then they did the weird smile thing, which they did in the pilot, and I don't think hardly ever again. I mean, they did it once or twice.
Yeah.
Where he's got that creepy smile. It actually looked better there
like
than it did in the pilot. His smile.
Mm-hmm. Real
They use this like generic background and a lot of stuff.
So Edward, it's like they keep redressing a set where they just had those walls, and they keep bringing those walls in somewhere. Edward, I have to disagree with you, man. He says, "Man, this episode aged poorly." I thought it looked this bad when it aired. I really did.
Very heroic.
Yeah,
I don't like that his dress uniform is just the suit, like the jumpsuit. That feels like.
Oh no, I like it.
I feel like they.
I like it a lot.
I don't know if I would buy that they would make a dress uniform out of the jumpsuit, because the jumpsuit seems very utilitarian to me.
Okay. But you know what else is cool about that suit? It's got the stripes on the
It looks
on the sleeves. But hear me out. It's got the stripes on the sleeves, and I wish they had done that for rank, because that would lead us into TOS.
Right.
With the rank on the sleeves, they should have done that.
Right.
Okay, so guys, they've been making a big deal this whole time about the speech that he's about to give. And she's all, I had to memorize this speech in high school. And then he's going to, well, we know this already. In program.
Right.
Now he's ready to talk to Picard. In a conversation where he's going to be all conflicted and can't decide how much to tell Picard. So he learned nothing from this experience.
Right.
That holodeck doesn't even look that great compared to what we got in Next Gen.
PS2 graphics.
About the same, does it not?
No, Next Gen it was more. It looked more like.
Oh, those stripes are thicker too.
Yeah, and they glowed more.
Did they even actually show it very much in Next Gen though? That's the.
They showed it enough.
They showed it a few times.
Did they show? I guess they did show the full set.
And so again, this just ends up being really insulting, because you just threw your show under the bus.
Right.
I guess Archer's line delivery of that was okay. It might have been nice if he'd gotten to do the whole speech.
Yeah.
If you have to do it. Oh, it's so bad.
What if they just done his speech throughout those ending credits there?
Well, we've now done it, so we don't have to dread that anymore. So I guess that's exciting.
We gotta listen to the theme song, the closing credit song. Is it?
And it's a hammy theme, but they should have used it instead of the rock theme.
But I hate the guitar riffs in it. They're like
this. No, it's terrible. Get that out of there. It's not the worst. I mean, the guitar thing is, but that is a theme.
Actually, it sounds like what you'd get at a non-denominational Christian church in the band. No, I'm serious. I've been to enough of those.
I know you're serious. I'm laughing because you're right.
Yeah, no,
Brandon.
I've been to enough of those.
I feel like I never even heard this theme when the show was on, because they never show. They'd always have like the credits running like in a little box and have a preview for the next week.
Yes, but they use it but they actually use it in the background a lot.
They do. It's the Archer theme.
It's the Archer theme, yeah. And there weren't. And what's interesting is in that era we didn't have a lot of that kind of stuff because all the music had to be so generic. But because this had a rock theme song, I guess they were allowed to do it more just with that one theme. So you hear it all over the pilot. And then after that, we do keep bringing it back, but we don't have any other music like that.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, boy. Well, and we have to rate this, too.
Rate both of them.
Okay, so we watched Take Me Out of the Holosuite, which was an intentional comedy episode. And then we watched this episode. We watched These Are the Voyages, which is not even the kind of bad that I can call a comedy. It's really unfortunate. Right. Okay, so let's go ahead and rate. If you've not rated with us before, I've seen a couple people in here tonight that I don't know have been here before. We rate on the Superhero Rewind 0 to 4 scale. So 0 is terrible and 4 is great. And you can do decimal points anywhere in the middle. We're going to start with these guys, and then we're going to go to you, the audience, and we'll read everybody's ratings on air if you would like to rate. And we'll just do both episodes. That's how we've been doing this lately. So, Adam, Take Me Out of the Holosuite, and then These Are the Voyages. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I'd give Take Me Out to the Holosuite probably a 3.25, I guess. It is a lot of fun. I really do enjoy that episode a lot. It's just a fun comedy episode. And then These Are the Voyages. I'm probably just gonna give it a 1. It's not good. It's not an episode. It has no real story.
I think that might be generous, but wow.
You gonna give it a 0?
No. No, but I think a 1 is almost too high. Brandon.
Too high.
So, Take Me Out to the Holosuite. I really enjoyed that episode. I've seen it once before. I'm going to give it a 3 because I haven't seen because I don't remember a lot of the DS9 that I've seen in the past. I was I wanted to leave the door open for, different things to surpass it. As time goes on, my rating will change necessarily.
Just watch the show already.
I need to. So it's a 3, but then this episode here, I am also going to give it a 1. I mean, even from what I've seen of Enterprise, like it's just, I hated what they did, because I remember watching this. I actually saw this one when it aired.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, no, thank you. So
no, thank you. I don't want any more of whatever that was.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give. I'm in line with you guys on Take Me Out of the Holosuite. I think that's a straight up 3. And these are the voyages. I gotta go as low as 0.5. And I don't even think it's actually the most unwatchable episode of that series, which is why I can't go to a straight up 0. I think the Vulcan episode, the Vulcan zombie episode in season 3 might be a 0. Or the closest thing to a 0. Well, yeah, and there's also that episode. It's funny too, because I like some of 3, but 3 also has some of the worst and weakest. Because it's also got that episode with the de-evolving, where everybody's just talking in like a nonsense language. You remember that whole thing?
Yeah,
that was hard to look at. But anyway, no. So 0.5. It was insulting to me, and it was insulting to the people that gave 4 years of their life to that show. And they didn't even do anything really particularly clever or nice with with Riker and Troy. And if you're gonna rebuild sets anyway, you do Titan.
Right. And
now I don't mean to latch onto a thing that I think they should have done and then say that's the only way to do it. But if you're gonna bring in those 2 characters, looking the way they do at that point, 3 years out of Nemesis, where you establish Titan, that's obviously what you do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just didn't. Yeah, I still don't know what Riker learned from that. What did he learn from spending all that time rewatching them?
I think
how did that help him?
What they're going for more
confront the truth to Picard or whatever. I don't get it.
What does it have to do with like mutiny?
What does it have to do with anything or loyalties and things like that? What does it have to do with anything?
I guess that they're just not wanting us to know that. They're kind of making an assumption about the audience that I don't think is correct, and that we just need to know that it's what helps get him to his decision that he makes in that episode.
No, we need to get.
I know, but they're not giving the audience enough credit
random.
there. They're not giving the audience enough credit there.
Edward Bedore gives These Are the Voyages a 0, and that's the only thing that he rated. Busted Sim 3.765 for you're one of those people. You like lots of decimal points. We had folks in our old Trek club that like to do that. And then for our first episode, and then for our second episode, negative 300. I'm sorry, Edward Bedore finally gave one for both. So 0.5 for These Are the Voyages.
300.
Yeah, and
that's a new one.
2.5 out of 4 for Take Me Out of the Holosuite. Snuffles 0.5 for These Are the Voyages. The makeup is great, and I have major antenna envy. Tom 3 and 0.5. Mr. Roboto -4 for Enterprise.
I wish I.
And then Snuffles gave Take Me Out of the Holosuite a 2.5. Oh, here comes Jason.
I was going to ask if Jason watched These Are the Voyages.
What were you going to say, Brandon?
I was just going to say, I wish that I felt like the antennae operated in a more meaningful manner. I get that their operation is definitely cool and everything, but I never felt like they were like the character would have been that in control of them the way we see them move. Like, what are they doing exactly?
There's just extra expression, like to add to facial expression.
Sure, but I never got the impression that their movement was intentional for the character. Always just kind of random joystick controlling.
If you did too much with it, it would be unintentionally comedic. So so when we did it with the Tick, it made sense to get kind of exaggerated with it because it's a comedy, and so he'll do crazy things within his antennae. There's not a lot of places that it would make sense to do that with Shran. Yeah. So you got to be more subtle with it. I think it works fine myself. But anyway, Jason, Take Me Out of the Holosuite 2.5. It was okay, but there was no point for the episode. Okay, and then These Are the Voyages, a 1.8. I actually kind of liked it, but they are too old, and electricity is stupid.
Electricity is stupid.
That's fantastic.
Like he full on bare hands an EPS conduit, you know what? But I don't understand why plugging the EPS conduit into another part of the EPS conduit caused a feedback like that.
I don't either.
It didn't make any sense, and also like you are anticipating an explosion. You never want to, even controlled, you never want to force an explosion inside a pressurized vessel in space.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a good
care
point,
how
too.
good your force fields or shields are. And also,
Well, he just thought he was that desperate.
well, he was also that desperate, but those people, those aliens were entirely stupid for believing that he was opening up a comm panel.
Yeah.
Like, you get to the EPS conduit and you're like, okay, this is not a communications panel.
And that by
what
itself
are you doing?
makes it a horrible way to kill off a character, because you're like, well, we have to buy that these aliens are that stupid, while simultaneously we have to think that this is a great dramatic situation. And the fact that they're that idiotic makes them not scary. And,
Well, they already did fall for the flash diamond, so...
I mean, it's
But they were somehow competent enough to kidnap Shran's daughter.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Too.
It doesn't track.
So
What were they, by the way? Do we ever find out what kind of alien they were?
we had that conversation earlier. Like like I said, I think they're supposed to be Rigelians, but I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. I missed that.
So anyway, I was gonna mention something, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh yeah, I was gonna say earlier when we saw Tripp's dead body, it would have been great if at the end it was like, psych, it was another sim. We like made we made a second sim. We learned how to do this, so now we can just clone him whenever we need somebody to die. Yeah. Everybody, thanks a lot for hanging out with us for Star Trek Club. I hope you had a good time in our virtual club meeting. Next Monday,
we're gonna have a good time.
Did you? Well, it's because you didn't get to experience it virtually. You're like actually here. It's more fun virtually.
Well,
Adam will tell you it's more fun.
The
that
second episode, the first episode was fine. The second episode,
Adam
not so much.
much more enjoys doing things where he doesn't have to be in the same room with you.
Right.
I mean us. With us.
Adam just doesn't like to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. He hasn't been out of the Bridge of the Enterprise since March. So next Monday we're gonna come back and we're going to start our. Sorry, what?
It's a penalty box.
We're gonna start next week our countdown of favorite Voyager episodes. So join us for that.
I can do that one.
Brandon can do that one. Yeah. And maybe we'll end up having to watch 2 DS9 or 2 TNG episodes.
That would be actually pretty
when
funny.
we're trying to do Voyager. At least we got to watch one DS9 episode on a DS9 night, so that was good. We could have done a different wheel with only episodes from this, but I didn't think of that. And I want to be consistent because we haven't been doing that, so we're not going to. We'll have 4 more weeks of countdowns. And then we'll be back to doing some games and stuff. So that'll be fun. Unless we want to blow through Enterprise in 1 week, because we may not have quite as much to say about those shows. Maybe the top 10 list for Enterprise.
That's gonna be really hard to
in
do
15 or 20 minutes
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it will be for me, but I'm not too worried. No, I want to do 10 because I can do 10 for that show. I do really want to do 10 because we do have some Enterprise fans watching. I don't think it's fair to those folks to not do 10. Even if we don't
I can
care
do
for that
it.
show
It's
as
gonna be
much.
like mostly season 4, but I could do it.
And we'll have to decide how we're going to handle 3-parters. I think we have to count them as one episode. Or maybe not.
That's kind of what we were doing
have to
on
decide.
DS9 too. Yeah.
Well, no, we weren't though, because what we did in DS9 was we mostly just skipped episodes that were in the middle of an arc, and if we're consistent, we would have to pick episodes that are titled differently, and those 3-parters all have different episode titles for each one, even though they are technically 3-parters. So maybe we actually, to be consistent, should break those up.
That's what I did. Yeah, that's what I.
Because I will say, with the Augment arc, I could see it maybe as a runner-up or on my list. I don't know. Picking that second or third episode, but not the first one. You know what I mean? It would actually be not that hard to break those up if you think about it. Because there is a superior episode of those 3-parters for every 3-parter, I think. At least in my opinion. Right. I think so.
Right.
Okay. Edward Bador says super chats didn't get read. What super chats didn't get read? Let me make sure that I read all the super chats. Oh, Mr. Roboto had a $2 one where he said Oh, no, we did the game. I put that on. How many sports and alien games are in Trek? We talked about that. Spaceball, we talked about that. The Royale, Via V, we talked about that. I think we hit all of these, right?
Yeah.
These are the Voyages was the biggest slap in the face ending in science fiction history until Mass Effect 3 made all your choices not matter at all. I didn't know about that. And then this last one, I missed that one. He had a few that we missed here, apparently.
Oh.
Or a couple, anyway. A character half Romulan, half Vulcan would make for a fascinating main character in Star Trek. That's something I would love to see happen. Was a thing that, we had a half Romulan, half Vulcan in Picard. It wasn't great, though. But, because that was Admiral... Oh,
that lady.
Wasn't Simon Tarsi's?
Then
Simon
Tarsis. He was a quarter, but what?
That's right.
And wasn't half Romulan, half Vulcan. Was part human, part Romulan.
That's what it was.
That wasn't that at all. But he's talking about the idea of a main character being that.
Yes.
And also we've talked about this before, but what's her face? The Vulcan from Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock. She was supposed to be Romulan, Savick, but not half and half. She was supposed to be a Romulan masquerading as a Vulcan. I think
I thought it was supposed to be like a quarter or something like that.
Was it even that? Yeah, I don't remember anymore either.
Yeah, I don't remember.
A lot of history, hard to keep it all in your head. Anyway, sorry I missed some of the super chats. And Mr. Roboto, that last $2 one that you had, it's not letting me read, so I don't know. Let me scroll up here and see if I can look at it. But I couldn't look at it in the section of the super chats. But yeah, I try to read them all. Sorry if I missed some. Yeah, it's not showing me that one. So mention it again next time. Just as a regular comment, and I'll try to read it if I can. Anyway, thanks a bunch, everybody, for hanging out with us. I hope you had a good time. We'll see you again next Monday. I was Captain Logan. There's Brandon Grimm.
See you later.
And Adam Meredith.
Bye.